I did it again where I forgot to put us actually on the show. What's up, everybody? It's another dope Friday night happy hour edition of Wakanda, Whiskey, and Blerdom. I'm your host, P. To my man to the left here is Marc. You gotta
What's going on? What's going on?
Line it up, man. You gotta line that up. How you doing?
Doing good, and I just noticed I need some damn lotion on my elbow.
Please don't put that.
But I'm good, man. I'm good. Just tired as hell right now.
It's perfectly understandable to not be moisturized in your comic book room. That could be very dangerous to your comics. I like your setup, man. You got your shelves up, I see.
Yeah, this is the setup I've had for like 3 months now.
Yeah, but I don't think you had all those shelves up before.
Yeah, the shelvings themselves have been up since probably like around June or July. Just how you have the camera set up is probably how you can see it now. But yeah, I've had this for a minute. Yeah.
Well, it's a good setup for you. Let's go check out everybody in our chat. What's up? Pericles Dragon Balls. What's up?
PD.
And Sigma. AJ with the super chat before we even get started. Man, I tell you, thank you very much, sir. We damn sure need the money. And with that, you get this. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you. All right. Marwan Williams, what's up? Welcome.
Marwan.
People starting to call in. Let me go online and make sure we have shared everything. Why don't you talk about what you're sipping on right now?
So, listen, guys, gals, everybody in between, I apologize. I know it's Black History Month, the very last day, but we have tried a lot of whiskeys that were Black owned, and I went and bought a new bottle yesterday, and it is not a Black owned company. I apologize for that, but I wanted to have some. There's this account I follow over on the Instagrams, and it listed about 10 whiskeys that had been blind taste tested by several individuals, and then they ranked them. And then this company, Smoke Wagon, one of theirs was towards the top, although not this specific expression. So I figured I would go ahead and give it a shot, give it a try.
It
wasn't that expensive. Yeah, it is. In fact, these guys are out of Las Vegas. So when I go there this fall, I may see if I can find their distillery and perhaps get a tour. But let me just give it a little pour. And I did not get any ice, so I think I'm going to be drinking. Well, no thinking. I'm going to be drinking neat tonight. And that is fine. For those who don't know, drinking something neat means no ice. On the rocks means ice. So just a little something.
Now, is
it nice?
It's a bourbon? Or...
Yes, it's bourbon. I like the nose feel. This is good. First sip, this is good. This is good. Yeah. So this is I sent you a picture in the DM, Paul. So if you wanted to pull that up, if you had the chance, this is the Smoke Wagon straight bourbon whiskey. This is a good sip. It's a very good sip. So, and it wasn't that expensive. I want to say, if memory serves, it was around 50 or under. So if you can find that at your local store where you buy your adult beverages, this one gets a seal of approval from me. This one I do like. And I think this one will probably be great in an old fashioned. In fact, I know it will. Yeah.
Well, that's what's up.
It's going to be a good sip.
Well, while you were doing that, we got another super chat from Ken Sigma. Thank you very much. I got to find my super chat video and give you Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Starting off the evening right. Bo Biggs now. What's up, sir? Mr. DC Comics. What's up? All right. So whenever we do this show,
Hold on. Stop. What are you drinking?
you know, I haven't even talked about what I'm drinking. I'm still drinking Sable. Now, this is the black owned.
Hold on a second. Turn the bottle around. You barely even touched that thing. Oh no, that's your second bottle. That's your second bottle, right?
Oh, this is the second bottle.
Okay, my bad. I apologize. That's your second bottle.
Yeah. So this is the one that was put together by basically the whole crew from the movie The Best Man, except Terrence Howard, Harold Perrineau, Morris Chestnut, Tay Diggs, and Malcolm Lee, the director, formed a company for this bourbon. It is absolutely delicious, smooth. I would make this my regular bourbon, my go-to bourbon from now on. It's really that good. I don't have anything negative to say about it.
So do you like this more than Uncle Nearest?
It's different.
I think
it's a little sweeter.
So which do you prefer, Uncle Nearest or this?
I think Uncle Nearest is still a little bit more sophisticated.
Which do you prefer, Uncle Nearest?
I just answered.
No. You said that Uncle Nearest is more sophisticated. Just because it's sophisticated doesn't mean you like it better. Which do you like better?
If it's more sophisticated, I'm going to like it better because I'm a complicated dude. Yes, I like Uncle Nearest better, but this is, I said, a very good go-to everyday drinking suburban. It's excellent.
And this smoke wagon, guys, listen, you know, one of the things about doing this stuff, and we've been doing this now for about 2, maybe going on 3 years. And you guys listen to us because you want to hear our opinions on whatever situation may be it a movie, comic book, whatever the case may be, especially whiskey. I've had some that have been just absolutely horrible, and I've told you, some that are good, and I've told you this one is good according to my palate. I highly recommend the Smoke Wagon. Absolutely.
Anyway. Mr. DC Comics mentions Mr. Terrific Gear 1. Man, I'm going to try my hardest to get the creative team on that to come on the show to talk about that book, because I'm excited about that. Mr. Terrific's a dope character. Bo Biggs, not to be outdone, also with the super chat. It's 3 super chats in 3 minutes. This is incredible. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate all the love. We definitely need it.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was the trash. Don't be hitting on me.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. So now that we've gotten our whiskey out the way, it's time for our Wakanda talk. So what are we going to talk about?
So while he's doing that, getting set up, Ultimate Black Panther number 13 came out last week. Not this Wednesday, but it came out last week. To catch you guys up, T'Challa is dealing with Khonshu and Ra, collectively members of the Makers Council. Khonshu is known individually as Moon Knight, but they tried to take over Wakanda. He fought back. There's an issue going on with vibranium. He being T'Challa, has discovered that the vibranium itself, the metal, may very well be sentient. Killmonger and Storm knew who the Sorcerer Supreme was, a lady by the name of Anan. They went and broke her out of her captivity and brought her back to Wakanda in order to assist T'Challa try to figure out what's going on, because he's been dealing with some nightmares, dreams, visions, if you will, dealing with vibranium. So that's pretty much where we stand right now. And Anan and T'Challa, when the book opens up, are discussing what T'Challa has been going through.
That's very good summary. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We'll pull up the first few panels of this book. This book, the last book, finally brought that action. People have been talking about this has been a very slow burn. This book brought some more intrigue, went back to the intrigue and sort of the world, not just the world, not world building, but helping us go further down the rabbit hole. I will say that. Because now T'Challa being faced with the new Sorcerer Supreme has been brought before him. And now he has to engage with this person and figure out, how can you help me with the problems that I've been facing? And the first thing she says to him is, we have to be honest with each other. Because T'Challa does not trust mystics. He's a man of science. He believes in hard, concrete facts. That's how he was raised. And he is
he doesn't trust anybody.
Well, yes, but he trusts science. He trusts science to the extent that science is quantifiable. But this is a new element, and he is forced to deal with the concepts that there are things beyond science that he just doesn't understand, and he wants to understand, and he has to embrace his lack of knowledge and his willingness to suspend his disbelief as to the supernatural.
You know what that reminds me of, real quick, before you go on? That reminds me of Tony Stark specifically in Avengers Assemble, the cartoon, because he's always talking about mysticism versus science, and he's always saying that mysticism, or mysticism is basically science that he doesn't understand, and he's always trying to figure it out. And there are things that you just can't figure out. But what you just said reminded me of that. They're the two characters are very, very similar.
To that point, he has this conversation with her. She goes, if my theory is correct, you have a kingdom interwoven with Ghost of a very dangerous past. Ghost, vibranium is built into all of Wakanda, correct? I hear you're a genius, perhaps more than that, but you live in a world of reason, causality. That is a very narrow view of existence. Pardon me for saying. And narrow views miss what exists around them. You have a hypothesis. You just don't want to share it. Remember what I said about transparency. I can help you, but we have to trust each other. If we can't do that, then I will leave. So T'Challa thinks about it and decides to have a come clean moment with her and share his actual thoughts. I think vibranium is alive, that it has a consciousness and a will, and I think I'm losing my mind to it. Now, understand what the nature of that statement. She's talking about there's ghosts everywhere throughout Wakanda. If vibranium is alive, and vibranium is all over Wakanda, from their buildings to their machines to their technology, they even have vibranium in their clothes. It is literally around them and all the time. It's like having living entities surrounding you at all time with a consciousness, and they are at odds with the people. That's a hell of a realization for him to make. So he's got to figure out whether he wants to trust this woman and believe what she says. So she says, objects can remember. The most powerful objects can even capture the consciousness of people. What is the name of that science, Mark, where if you can touch an object and like feel its...
Yes, not empathy. It's somewhat empathetic, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I just can't think of the quote unquote technical term for it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's a science, so to speak, or a meta science.
What is that called?
Paranormal science, where you can touch an object and you can feel
and get a reading off of it,
get a
and
reading
learn
off
about
the object
it or person. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Signal from DC Comics, Batman's Robin, who has that superpower as well. She goes, you ever walked into the room of a dead person and felt them there? Same concept. Your vibranium remembers, and I'm about to show you what those memories are. And that's the most important line in this series to date is your vibranium remembers. To remember, it has to have a mind. It has to have a consciousness, right? And I'm about to show you what those memories are. What's on Vibranium's mind? What's its agenda? What motivates it? Is it good? Is it evil? All of those questions have to be answered. But we don't get those answers in this issue.
Yeah. What we do get, however, are literal ghosts in the machine that she brings forward after she performs some ritual, and an actual spirit, the spirit of Vibranium, issues forth. And when I read this,
you're gonna skip over the whole Killmonger and Storm thing.
I mean, I don't like her with anybody else, so like whatever. I know it's a different universe. Yeah. So yeah, Killmonger and Storm are together. Blah blah blah, whatever.
That's not why I bring this particular scene up. It's Storm does not trust T'Challa. She does not trust Wakandans. Killmonger seems to be embracing the Wakandans. Specifically, he's trust T'Challa. He views him as honorable. And it's interesting, like, we know in our universe, the 616 universe, the main universe, they are obviously enemies. And in this one, he actually respects and admires T'Challa. And it's kind of like, at some point, you kind of expect there's going to be a falling out, and what is going to cause that falling out, which causes the animus. And the most obvious answer would be the woman that he's looking at right now.
But, and not that it matters, because married people cheat all the time, but you know, Storm is with Okoye, you know, and there's never been any indication that I recall in the 13 issues that we've seen that Storm has any interest in that dude whatsoever. But he's got swag, good looking brother who is the king of his own nation. So I mean, you know, he's got that riz, as the youngsters like to say.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
He's Usher.
I was watching the Boondocks earlier today. I still do not like this costume with his mouth open like that. It just serves no purpose. I hate that design.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan of that design either.
And let me
the
just
rest
say
is fine.
Right. I just wish the things on his arm were gold, but other than that, I like the rest of it. And the Sorceress Supreme, Anon, you know, I'm not really into emo chicks, but she's not bad. I like the design of her. But at the bottom of the page is the spirit that issued forth from that little bit of vibranium. People in the chat, you can tell us. I don't recall, but has Thanos made an appearance ever in the Ultimates universe, either this one or the previous one? When I first saw this character, and I know he's probably not, but when I saw this character, he reminded me of Thanos, just, you know, the big burly dude with a bald head, so to speak. So that's what I was thinking. But it makes me wonder whether or not every piece of vibranium has some individual entity or spirit in it. It's almost as if the metal trapped the souls of a long lost dead people, you know? Maybe
so the chat actually has the answer to our question.
Okay.
Shout out to, well, first of all, Vagrant, hi.
Hey,
Thorn
Vagrant.
Identity, Jeffrey Thorn's here. Y'all still talking about comics?
Yes, we are.
24/7, baby. They just started. Shout out to Jeffrey Thorn.
Jeffrey Thorn's got that comic book money. Got 40 whole dollars.
That will help us pay some bills. So thank you, sir. And with that, you get this.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was the trash. Don't be hitting on me.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you very much.
All right, so let's check out some of these other comments here. Mr. DC Comics, in my opinion, science explains the spiritual world. I manifesto, I a living element like some view crystals, minerals. Eclectic Birdie Nietzsche,
Psychometry.
who always has the greatest questions. Shout out to you. Psychometry.
I've never heard that phrase before. And
That's
Jeffrey
the
Thorne. No, I
objects,
understand what it is, but I've never heard it phrased that way, like telepathy or whatever. I've never heard of psychometry, but yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. So everyone's screaming at us as we're
so I get the impression that it's called psychometry. I could be wrong, but that's what I think it is.
Extended Universe had a native Jedi who could pick up items and see their history. Sounds similar. That was the black Jedi with the dreads. What was his name? I can't remember his name.
It doesn't matter.
Identity. Since vibranium comes from space, maybe it has been through stuff before reaching Earth.
Right. Kind of what it reminded me of as I'm sitting here thinking about it. There's something that I've seen or read where I just can't remember it off top, but it sort of reminds me of over in DC Comics with the Phantom Zone. And in the old 1978 Superman, there was an actual disc that came down to Krypton, and it put the people in it. It wasn't like how they do it now, where it's like some type of ray gun that transports people
the Phantom Zone?
To the Phantom Zone. So it kind of reminded me, reading this, it reminds me to a little bit of, this thing from Superman 1, where the people are in it and they're trapped in there. Their souls, their spirits are trapped in it. And that's what Anon is feeling. I know that's probably not it, but that's what it reminds me of.
Why Storm doesn't like T'Challa has been so unexplained.
Well, I mean, they don't know each other. I mean, she's with Killmonger. That's her boo. He's just some rich asshole to her. So, yeah.
Killmonger being his biggest fan is weird. Yes, it is.
And see, that's one of the brilliant things about the Ultimate Universe that I like, is that we have familiar characters in unfamiliar situations. And, shout out to the creative team 20 years ago who even came up with the Ultimate Universe. I do like it.
Falling out over a love triangle would be so lame. Yeah. I mean, I agree. It would seem kind of obvious. I gotta believe Brian Edward Hill wouldn't do something that obvious.
It would be obvious, and it would be out of character.
Yeah, I mean, if you would do that, it would make more sense that it was part of like a larger shift. Like, it's not just a betrayal of her leaving him for T'Challa. It's more like a philosophical change. Like, they have these discussions about how they're these guerrilla fighters and they're fighting for the people, and they view the Wakandans as these aristocratic people that aren't really down with the cause. It would have to be something a lot more deep than simply I'm getting with this other guy. It has to be more of a deeper betrayal of like philosophy.
But besides that, T'Challa would have to betray his marriage vows to Okoye. And one of the things that I think that we can all agree on is that above everything else, T'Challa is an extremely noble and honorable person. And if you are sleeping with somebody who is not your spouse without their permission, that is not noble. That is not honorable. And
unless they're dead.
I'm sorry.
Unless they're dead.
Okay, well, that clearly doesn't count. But, if your spouse is alive and well, and they're not in a vegetative state, and you sleep with somebody else without their permission, that is dishonorable. And again, T'Challa across all mediums has been an extremely honorable person. That's part of his character, just like with Clark Kent. I don't see him doing that, so I don't think that that's ever going to come about.
Mm-hmm. I Manifesto says the mask reminds me of Wildcat. Yeah, it does.
Wildcat. What? Yes.
He was in the previous Ultimates.
I don't remember.
Thanos must have been, I guess.
Yeah.
They made him like more like Darkseid.
Hey, remind me in the chat what books he was in. I just don't remember.
That Marvel money.
But Marvel, yeah. X-Men is doing really good.
Thanos was in the previous Ultimate Universe, but they made him a king along with the lines of Darkseid.
I just don't remember that.
What series is that? Is that in the Ultimates, or is
that's what we're discussing. He was in the Ultimates. I just don't remember what individual title.
Yeah, I don't remember him from the original Ultimates either.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's why we have the best fans and the guys who spend their Friday nights with us. Is that they're spending their Friday nights with us, even though they could be out at the club, bar, doing whatever. but they're watching two old guys talk comic books. And on top of that, they have knowledge that we don't. So shout out to you guys. Thank you for
Quinlan
joining us.
Voss. That was the name of the Black Jedi with the dreads who has the psychometry powers. Quinlan Voss. Thank you. That was going to bother me until someone who some consider a gray Jedi. Yeah, that's a whole conversation that people aren't ready for, guys. Thank you. That's who I meant. I got you. Do you guys think Ultimate Black Panther will go the whole year?
2025? I don't know. I hope so.
I know there's at least 2 more issues coming out. That's all I can tell you.
He was the ultimate task for. Okay.
This could imply that the primordial meteor that hit Wakanda region was a sentient being in Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
I think we're going in that direction, certainly.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the book. Mark, you were talking about this guy, this living embodiment of
vibranium.
Mm-hmm. So they move on from that scene, and who comes to their rescue?
But before we go that far, clearly this creature doesn't speak American, right? He doesn't speak American. He doesn't speak Wakandan. And the first thing that T'Challa does, without maybe trying to get some type of connection, is he kicks him in the face. He kind of attacks, but you got to realize with this dude just comes out of the blue. He doesn't know what's going on. And instead of trying to gain an understanding, T'Challa relies on his feet and hands to say, hey, slow down there, little buddy. And I just thought that was relatively amusing. But I guess that's a natural response when somebody hulking is coming towards you.
S. Jadix, I know there's 2 more issues that are up for pre-order. Beyond that, I don't know. Ultimate Fantastic Four 35 to 53 is the answer to the question of what part of this is. Ultimate Fantastic Four was a great series back in the day.
It was. Now, yeah.
Marvel doesn't want to cancel on anything not divisible by 5 these days. That's true, because 5 issues is a trade paperback. Yeah.
Yep.
Spock had limited telepathy, requiring physical touch. All right. So this guy's the living embodiment of vibranium. T'Challa's trying to kick his ass. But if this guy can be created, can't others? Vibranium is all over Wakanda. And who comes to T'Challa's rescue but Storm? You may be a king, but remember, you cannot fly.
This is after T'Challa got kicked out of a window by that creature.
Yeah. Where was Killmonger doing all this?
Putting his britches on.
So she does a thunderclap, Hulk style, and uses it to create lightning. I've never seen Storm manifest her lightning in that manner before. It's kind of cool. She also does this spin move where she turns herself like a top and generates lightning, kind of like in a scientific standpoint, when you're creating a current and you use a top like the spin to generate the current, and then she slaps her hands together and releases it. It was kind of a cool way to show demonstrate her powers. Now, obviously, this is the ultimate universe version of Storm. That's a whole lot of work to simply generate lightning. The current Storm, which we'll talk about in the next series, we're going to talk about, doesn't obviously have to go through all that to simply generate lightning. She can do it with snap of her fingers. All right. This guy takes the full blunt of a lightning bolt and is still ticking.
That's like Thanos. Thanos in the MCU took a full bolt of lightning when Steve Rogers had the hammer Mjolnir and kept on ticking. This dude is pretty strong.
So they kind of needed Doctor Strange, Ultimate Doctor Strange, to open a portal deep space so T'Challa could fight him and basically push him and throw him through that portal. It's the only way they were able to defeat him.
let me just interject this too. And that's one of the issues that I have with a lot of comic books. And I know it's done for plot or whatever. But when you've got superheroes who can fly and you're fighting a quote unquote bad guy, someone extremely overpowerful. I'm not talking about Venom or the Wrecking Crew or whatever the case may be, but somebody that is a planetary threat. Why are you fighting them in populated areas? Take them up in space and throw their ass to the moon. This is an extremely smart, well done thing to eliminate a threat. So I like that.
Yeah. All right. And then we have this last sort of line. That thing lives inside vibranium? She goes, its consciousness does. I gave it form. It got out of hand. Your kingdom is filled with vibranium. This is beyond my ability, but not beyond my knowledge, Your Highness. Wakanda needs an exorcism.
So, like I said, so vibranium was basically a space rock, and it just makes me wonder the way that they're doing, the way Brian Edward Hill is doing things, is if this whole space rock was some type of 1978 Superman Phantom Zone prison that had all these souls in it. You know, I mean, it's interesting.
It's interesting theory. It's interesting theory. Shout out to the artist Stefano Caselli. Got T'Challa looking cool.
Yes, he does. Got the nice fade. He's got the nice fade. All due respect to Sherilyn Eaton's run, whoever the artist was, who I cannot remember.
Fareed Karami. Love that.
Yeah. He does. He can draw clearly a lot better than I can, but his version of T'Challa was just not, to me, impressive. All due respect to him. With Sherilyn Eaton and this dude, Sherilyn Eaton's words and this dude's art would be spectacular.
Yeah. All right. So that is Ultimate Black Panther.
Yep. Let's go into that real quick.
I think Karnak from the Inhumans had a similar ability. Yes, that's the
Karnak can really, basically, Karnak can view the weakness of things. He can't necessarily see the history of it or somebody who touches it, but he can just view an item and see, okay, this is where the flaw is in this substance or item or even person. So I think it's somewhat different.
Yeah. All right. So next piece of Black Panther stuff we're going to talk about is this. There was a lot of blow up on the internet over this leak, quote unquote, of what the new Black Panther video game is. Let's go over the details. You choose the next Black Panther. Includes characters like T'Challa, M'Baku, Azari, Shuri, Killmonger, and more. It intends to replicate authentic African martial arts mixed with superhuman strength, agility, and tech. Over-the-shoulder point of view. It's kind of a third-person type thing. Weapons, armor, and gadgets are unique to each Black Panther. Explore cities, savannas, and more that let you encounter unique cultures and characters. Story reacts to your choices and actions with unique stories, missions, and dynamics. Now, most of that seems pretty cool, but I think what got most people on pause or gave them pause was the concept that you get to choose the next Black Panther. And the choices that they have is not other previous Black Panthers relegated to only other previous Black Panthers. It's characters like M'Baku as the Black Panther. Azari, his son. Shuri has been Black Panther. Even Killmonger technically was the Black Panther at one point. But M'Baku's never been the Black Panther. And it says, and more. Now, one of the things that we've talked about ad nauseum for the last, when did Chadwick Boseman die?
2020, August 20th, 2020.
Wow, has it been that long? It hasn't been that long, has it?
It's been 5 years, yes.
Oh, wow. So for certainly almost 5 years, apparently. Mark and I have talked about it, if not on this show, certainly amongst each other, is the idea that Marvel made, obviously, a stupid-ass decision to not recast T'Challa. Their reasoning was flawed and nonsensical for not recasting the character.
It was Ryan Coogler's decision and Ryan Coogler's flaw that Kevin Feige agreed with, but yes.
But the natural result that would have to happen, is what I've been saying, is that Marvel's going to have to double down on that stupid decision, because Marvel, as we know it, is no longer Marvel. When we used back in the day, us old guys would refer to Marvel, we're talking about Marvel Comics. Marvel is now one company, and that company is under the MCU. Kevin Feige has been made in charge of everything Marvel. That includes comic books. And we've known for a while now, for several years now, that the comics are basically just promotional material for the MCU, not the source material and the driving force behind the MCU. That is no longer the case. That might have been the case in phase 1 or even phase 2 of the MCU. That's no longer the case, which one might question as to whether or not that's why some of the movies have sucked over the last couple of phases. Regardless, as a result, what you see in the MCU eventually has some level of influence in what you see in the comics.
Basically, what Paul has said in the past, I don't know if you said it here, but when he and I have been talking, it's synergy. Paul has discussed synergy across the company, where T'Challa being absent in the MCU will permeate the entirety of the Marvel brand. And we're seeing that when it comes to this game. I'm not a gamer. You know, the last gaming system I bought was an Atari 2600 in 1983. That's a lie. It's a joke. But for the gamers that are out there who have played superhero titles, they've always said that when the first Wolverine came out, when the first Spider-Man came out or whatever, you didn't have the option to play as different people. You played as Wolverine. You played as Spider-Man or whatever the case may be. And so that's what a lot of people are taking issue with, is this, I guess, is his first solo game. Why are you giving people the option to play as somebody else other than T'Challa, the son of T'Chaka?
So the answer is that Marvel, in having to address their stupid ass decision not to recast the character, has put together and forced and promulgated this concept that the Black Panther is simply a mantle, the mantelization of the Black Panther,
which is the erasure of T'Challa specifically.
Right. Yes, correct. They're trying to say it is simply a mantle. There have been mantles in comics, but no one's ever pushed that agenda of a mantle specifically and with intent the way Marvel has with the Black Panther.
An example.
There have been hold on.
Yeah.
There have been other characters that have been Batman, other characters that have been Iron Man, other characters that have been the Flash.
The
but
Green
generally
Lantern.
speaking, or Green Lantern's a little different because they're a police force. But
well, yeah, true.
Generally speaking, when someone refers to Batman, everyone knows we're talking about Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
You know, when someone's referring to the Flash, even though Wally West is very popular, people generally think of Barry Allen.
I won't go that far on that one, but I do understand your point, but I won't necessarily say that, because for a whole generation, the Flash is Wally West. I get your point.
Even though Jackson Hyde has taken over as Aquaman and been named Aquaman, when people think of Aquaman, they still thinking of Arthur Curry.
Correct.
But the way Marvel is trying to cage the argument is that Black Panther is just a mantle that's taken down from one person to another. It can be passed around willy-nilly, and that's just not the case. The man has been the Black Panther for 60 years. He's 60 years of comics as the Black Panther.
Yep.
Even Shuri's time as the Black Panther only amounts to
16 issues.
maybe might amount to maybe 3 years in total.
I don't even know if it was that long.
I don't even know if it's that long.
It was 16 issues, Claws of the Panther in volume 4 or 5. But yeah, it was a very limited run.
Yeah. Mr. DC Comics says Stanley never liked mantles. That was DC territory.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Says, They're not pushing that okie doke on me. I will not co-sign to that.
Correct. And one of the, a moment ago I said about the erasure of T'Challa across all Marvel platforms. A prime example of that was the most recent X-Men cartoon. When we saw the Black Panther in the most recent X-Men cartoon and he took off his mask, it was not T'Challa, it was T'Chaka, which did not make sense because we all know, those of us of a certain age know, back in 1992 or 93, when we saw the original X-Men cartoon, we know that T'Challa was the Black Panther because he made an appearance in Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four was tied to the X-Men and Spider-Man. So we knew who the Black Panther was. So for him to now, or the Black Panther to be T'Chaka, does not align with the mythology that they've already created in their animated universe. So this goes to what I was saying that Paul likes to say is the synergy. And what I just said is the erasure of T'Challa. And it just doesn't make sense. It's very, very disappointing.
My manifesto says, unless they're trying to separate the mantle from T'Challa. That's exactly what they're trying to do. That's exactly our point. That's exactly what they're trying to do. And so this game would seemingly be the continuation of that. And it's significant. It's significant because when you say who is the foremost Black superhero in the world, it's the Black Panther. Now, before the MCU, it was definitely Storm, arguably. I think she was literally more popular than the Black Panther.
I don't know if I would go that far.
So I would definitely go that far.
I would.
She was in more cartoons. She was in more comics. She was in more toys than the Black Panther.
I'd probably say Cyborg.
I said. No, I was referring to Marvel.
I apologize.
I should have
Marvel specifically. Yeah. Okay. You know what? You may be right.
With regard to Marvel Comics.
Okay. Yeah.
Storm was the number one Black superhero.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I take that back.
Black Panther really didn't get popular until the movie. If we're being completely honest. I mean, amongst ourselves as comic collectors, he's been number one for a while, but
for society at large,
he was a B-lister at best.
D.
I wouldn't say that low, but
yes, dude.
But here's the point. Having this idea of a mantelization of your biggest Black property, one that made you $1.3 billion. That says a lot because this is, at the end of the day, we can bitch and moan as much as we want about how they should do this for us or how they owe us this. They don't owe us anything. Marvel's a corporation. DC's a corporation. They don't owe us anything. They owe their stockholders and shareholders money. And however they can make that money, that's what they owe. That's what motivates them. You would think. But that's what I find the most disturbing about the way T'Challa is being treated, because they're going in the face, the opposite of what has made them money. You don't cancel a franchise because you don't cancel a successful franchise because an actor died or a writer dies or an artist dies. You continue it on.
They thought Chadwick Boseman made them money, not the character that he portrayed made them money.
Say that part again. Say that part again, Marc.
They thought Chadwick Boseman made them money and not the character of T'Challa that he portrayed made them money. And, I've been very vocal on this here platform that I have not, will not ever see Wakanda Forever, because even though I could watch it bootleg, but I'm not going to watch that show because I'm boycotting the idea that they killed off the character. And I definitely didn't pay for it because I wanted to show the bean counters over at Marvel is that without T'Challa, there is no reason for me as a fan of that specific character to watch this movie. And, it resonated across, the world because the movie made $500 million less than when the character was in there, So, yeah, it just, it's very, very disappointing. They very well should have recast, even if he wasn't in movie number 2. It's very disappointing because
it's
T'Challa is the preeminent Black superhero now, thanks to the movies. We understand that he could have been ubiquitous and as big as Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, but they shit the bed in this decision that Coogler was allowed to make.
It's not just disappointing, it's disturbing. You're basically, as a company, Marvel, saying we're willing to not secure this bag over this concept that we don't want to promulgate this character. That goes in the face, that flies in the face of all logic and reason of economic reasons for a corporation to not make money. You can make more money with this IP than without it, but they're purposely choosing to not make money with this IP for some reason. I don't know what that reason is. Two things.
For those who don't know, when Paul says IP, he means intellectual property, the intellectual property that is Black Panther. Number 2, and we all who are on social media have seen it, but the bean counters, the people in charge, think that we as Black folks are more emotional than other individuals. And quite frankly, it seems to be true because so many Black folks who've never read a comic book in their life are talking about Chadwick Boseman as he was the second coming of Jesus Christ. And the reason why I say that is because they've always said, oh, you got to respect his legacy. And, how dare you disrespect Chadwick Boseman by putting somebody else in that role? Chadwick Boseman, God rest his beautiful soul, was not the first actor to die while portraying a role, and that role being recast. The actor who played Dumbledore, the actor who played Spartacus, the actor who played the Oracle from The Matrix, most recently, the actor who played Thunderbolt Ross, the actor who played Balin Skull. Every one of those original actors died. Every one of those roles were pretty much immediately recast with nobody saying a thing. But us colored folk, oh my God, how dare you? Oh my God, how dare you recast somebody else in that role? And you're disrespecting Chadwick. That's nonsense. So in a certain way, Black folks specifically have been saying that they shouldn't recast those who aren't comic book fans. So it's just an interesting phenomenon how we have a lot of people have deified Chadwick Boseman to be this preeminent actor that nobody else can do anything that he did. And it's just stupid.
So they're going to now allow just about anyone to be, that's kind of the fear, right? They're going to allow anyone to be the Black Panther.
In the game,
hopes of watering down the concept of who he is. Let me explain why this is significant. When Marc and I were young, our generation, your introduction to comics was what, Marc?
Super Friends.
Cartoons. Saturday morning cartoons, to be specific.
And maybe after school cartoons, but yes,
that was how kids, a whole generation of Generation X, got into comics. Was through cartoons. Mm-hmm. In the generation we have now,
gaming,
their introduction is either movies or video games. So there will be a whole generation of kids who's going to play this game and think anyone can be Black Panther. T'Challa, who? I think he was some guy my dad made me watch in some movie once. But, the Black Panther can be anybody. Tony Stark could be Black Panther if he wanted to. That's kind of where the logical sort of end game of all of this is, that T'Challa will be marginalized to fulfill or to double down on this concept that they're trying to cover for their bad decision in not recasting the character.
Paul, just think about something. Think about something real quick. We are in the year of our Lord 2025. It has been 9 years since T'Challa was first introduced live action. 21-year-olds were 12 when this movie first came out. And the only person that they ever knew as T'Challa was Chadwick Boseman. And he's been off the screen now since 2019. So for 6 years, right? In that same time period, we have had 4 live action Supermen. 4.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing. One of the characters they said you can play is a Zazari, who is the son of T'Challa and Storm. That's cool. From the perspective that means that you're acknowledging that T'Challa and Aurora are going to get together, which we love.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that the Black Panther has a son who you can play as Black Panther, someone said, well, I think they're going to recast at some point. They are going to recast at some point. That's not the point. The question is, which T'Challa are they going to recast? T'Challa, son of T'Chaka, or Toussaint, TJ?
The Haitian bastard child is not T'Challa.
I don't refer to him as that, but agreed, that's not T'Challa. And I suspect that's the direction they're going to go to. The rumor has been, and this is only a rumor, clearly, the rumor has been that Storm will be introduced in a movie as a young person, and she will meet T'Challa as a young person, but that young person would be TJ. The idea is that we're going to reboot the Black Panther franchise by doing it where he's young, and he's a guy he's a prince who's lost his father at an early age, and he's going on walkabout, learning from the world. He started in Haiti, and now he's going to learn about the world before he takes the mantle of being the Black Panther and King of Wakanda.
So they're giving the Haitian bastard child T'Challa, son of T'Chaka's storyline. And if in fact they do that, they will never get a dime from me. It's so long as T'Challa, son of T'Chaka is missing from the intellectual property, i.e. IP, from the Black Panther Wakanda storyline, they will never get my support, ever.
Yeah. So that's that. That's kind of the controversy, and it's well grounded. I will say this. I mentioned this on Twitter recently. Sometimes, how can I say this? Sometimes we at Black Comic Lords, we get certain information. I'll just say it like that. And I can tell you that the original story for this video game was not this. And I will leave it at that. At some point, someone changed the story into this, if true, if this leaked rumor that we have on the screen is true, that is different than what the game was originally going to be. Someone would have changed what the original game was going to be, because that is not what the original game was going to be. That much I could tell you.
Yeah. So anyway, for the gamers out there, are you going to support this? I'm not a gamer. The last gaming system I have, and this is not a joke, is PlayStation 2. That's the last thing I have. So for those of you who are active gamers, are you going to buy this or not? That's something I'd be interested in the comments. Also, while I have you, if you have not done so, make sure that you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and make sure that you share this video on your socials.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are they giving Toussaint the super genius that they stole?
Don't know, don't care.
Funny
Next
how
question.
Coogler thinks losing his father at a young age matters because
Don't know, don't care.
he was super genius. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Almighty, help Marwan Williams maintain his integrity to remember to give back to the people if granted the money to buy Black Panther IP.
Yeah, they're not going to sell that. Good luck with that.
Marwan, are you going to win the lottery or something, bro?
You know what I'm saying?
Got some Bitcoin? I've been frustrated for years that the only two characters with games are Batman and Spider-Man.
So check this out. I don't know what the controversy is, but supposedly, I guess over in DC, there was supposed to have been a Wonder Woman game, and it was canceled or something. I don't know, which is ridiculous.
A lot of games got canceled.
Hey,
I'll
Rav.
PS file, and I'll make sure to review the game. Well, let us know what you think.
Hey, Rav, why don't you? My birthday's coming up in September, so why don't you go ahead and hit me up with a PS5? Just saying.
Without the game or with the game?
Doesn't matter.
I'm buying for sure. That's a no for me, dog.
I understand.
Screw this game.
I understand.
I just sold my PS3 this past weekend.
Oh, man, you should have sold it to me.
Hope so. I have a Series S Xbox in my living room. Yeah, I got an Xbox too, my Xbox One.
When was the last time that you gamed, Paul?
Literally, probably a year ago.
Because I know you and Marc, the other Marc, you guys used to be heavy gamers about 10 years or so ago, right?
Yeah.
Because both of you guys were on Xbox or something?
Xbox, yes.
Yeah.
I ain't supporting this, but more than 2 pro tags have never worked for a narrative action game at all.
When he says pro tags, he means protagonists, for those who don't know.
The Wonder Woman game would had an inversion of the Nemesis system.
I don't know what that means.
I'm afraid I don't either. I do have Tiger Mania ticks at Forbes Arena for tomorrow if you're down. The biggest wrestling event in Morehouse history.
Just text me in the morning, dude. No. Never mind. I got something I have to do tomorrow.
Something or
Thanks
someone?
for the offer, though.
This guy. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will get into our other reads of the week. We're going to talk about Storm, issue number 5. Ah, great. I said all that, and I don't even have a commercial all queued up, so I'm just trying to find some random video, which is not cool. Just picking at random.
Dear Mr. Billy Graham, I know this letter is late, but you know what they say, better late than never. And I'm writing to you because I know you'll never read this or hear this. It's a measure of therapy for me, I guess. Wondering how you never get mentioned when you are really only one of the few worth mentioning. After all, I don't think Sam and Dave had you in mind, but without question, you are a soul man. How else can you explain how a man can draw tears so well if he never shed any tears of his own? Yes, and I hear music, especially drums, when I see jungle action panels. And when I see Luke Cage panels, I hear the jukebox blaring out horns in the after hours joint. I guess I'm trying to say, Mr. Graham, that I dig your style, and you deserve to be celebrated like the heroes you drew. And like I said, you won't see or hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Thank you, Mr. Billy Graham. You are a Black history legend. Respectfully, the Black Comic Lords. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, peace.
What's good, comic fam? It's finally happened. We're actually going to start selling our Black Comic Lord t-shirts. But not just any Black Comic Lord t-shirts. No. When we decided to do this, we knew we had to get with the right partners. So we got with Jay Winston with Winston's Wham, and we also got with the fabulous artist, Otis Arterberry. Anybody can just throw a cover on the shirt, but we wanted to make this special. So without further ado, this is the final product. Orders will be going out as soon as you guys get your orders in. So let's take a look. Now this is more like it. So what you're going to get here is you're going to get a Black Comic Lord variant with the Charlie Brown theme, but we're going with Franklin, and we're showing all of the dope Black key comics. Let's take a closer look. I can't believe they even squeezed all these keys together. As a matter of fact, I gotta go grab some of these keys. They got first Black Panther, Tomb of Dracula 10, which is first Blade. They got Black Man right here, which is a dope book. They got Gunhawks, Weird Fantasy, Brother Voodoo, several different Black Panther books, Lobo #1, Lobo #2. I mean, it is jam-packed full of key Black comics. Oh, and did I tell you, Willie Cordy Jr. is also involved in this project? You absolutely got to buy one now. Speaking of Willie Cordy, he was also the artist behind the very first Black Comic Lord variant, which Franklin is holding in his hand. And don't get me started on his satchel. Man, I need that bag. We might have to negotiate a deal for a bag. Get your orders in now. Oh yeah, I'll leave the website to where you guys can order in the description and also in the headline. Make sure y'all go pick one up. Black Comic Lords, baby.
All right, we're back. Let's see what the rest of the chat said here. Let's see. Gotham Knights just tried with no Bruce Wayne and 4 Batman sidekicks, and it flopped. You have to be idiots to try this. The Nemesis system is you fight an enemy and you spare them. They bear a grudge against your character and actively seek you out, and if they kill you, they level up and get stronger.
You never leave an enemy behind, Shaka Zulu.
It's first used in the Mordor Lord of the Ring game. Surviving orcs would be gunning for you until you kill them or they killed you. It's wasted as a real tragedy. Such great innovation. In the Wonder Woman game, people you save will become your allies and assist you throughout the game. So that, I guess that must be the Nemesis thing. If you would messed up, they'd shut down Wonder Woman games just so the Nemesis system can go to a future Marvel game. Well, you're getting some love. See, Cole Peter is that, but no one is trying to use Miles or the others to replace him. They would rather share and make money than what we see with T'Challa. Yeah, that makes sense.
So question, again, not being a gamer, is Miles in any games now? I don't know.
He's in a lot of games. He's been in a few games, the very successful games.
Okay. Is he by himself or is he with Peter?
Well, technically he's with Peter, but he's got a whole playable download content Spider-Man 2 where you can basically just play as Miles, and it's a whole storyline with just Miles.
Okay.
I can see that in Wolverine. Wolverine peeps would. Yeah, I mean that's another one. There's no mantle of Wolverine. There's Wolverine. He has Sun. He has an alternate version from the Ultimate Universe.
The Ken was known as Wolverine with the Dark Avengers, so
X-23. But for all intents and purposes, when we say Wolverine, we know what we're talking about, Logan.
Even though there are at least 2 different people with the title of Wolverine. When people think of Wolverine, they think of Logan. Just like there were hundreds, if not thousands, of people who played Black Panther in our real world. When you think of Black Panther, if you have any sense, you're thinking of T'Challa, not Shuri, not Azuri, not anybody else.
They tried to make Wolverine a mantle by making X-23 Wolverine.
And Ken.
Spider-Man Miles Morales was dope. That was the game. He did have his own game, Spider-Man Miles Morales. And they both used the title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Miles had his own game and then was an equally important character to Peter Parker. But the fact remains, they were still both Spider-Man. There wasn't it's been passed on to Miles and Peter's dead and that's all there is. That's not.
It's interesting to me how popular Miles Morales has gotten in just 10 years? No.
Yeah, a little over 10 years now. It's 12 now.
Yeah. When was the Ultimate Fallout? Was that in 15?
He came out in 2010, so he's 15 years old now.
15 years, right. It's just interesting to me how some characters hit and others don't. Why do you think Miles hit the way that he did?
Because ultimately he embodies the most popular version of Peter Parker, which is when he was a teenager. but you add a hip hop element or an urban hip hop element that resonates with a lot more of the youth today. If that makes sense. Let me explain to you a different way. Did you watch the new Disney cartoon, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man?
I am watching it. I'm not completely done with it yet, but I am watching it.
Have you noticed that it's in a very urban setting, which typically that's always how Spider-Man has been.
Yes, Queens.
All his friends are like black or brown people.
Mm-hmm.
Huge black or brown cast.
Mm-hmm.
Centered around this white dude. Now, put Miles in that scenario. What do you think happens?
The cops come.
I think Miles represents what people view. This is my theory. This is just my personal theory. People disagree with this all the time. I think if you were rewriting Spider-Man for today, it would make more sense for him to be Miles than it would for him to be Peter Parker.
I don't know if I would agree with that, but
well, that's what I said.
Yeah.
It's mine.
I've
always looked at Peter Parker and imagined. Well, let me rephrase that a different way. I need to give Peter Parker his due as a character, because understand, Spider-Man was one of my favorite superheroes growing up. And a large portion of my comic collection is Spider-Man, so I'm not hating on Peter Parker at all. Peter Parker is a very well written character. Shout out to Steve Ditko and Stan Lee, because he represents the nerd in all of us. I mean, most comic book fans are nerds, people that are kind of outcast in that respect, socially awkward in some respects. And Peter Parker was the manifestation of that. It's kind of like, yes, I understand that I'm an introverted, awkward nerd guy who likes to read and do stuff that other kids don't, but there's something special about me. That concept is what appeals, has been his appeal for generations. And Miles has a lot of that, but he also is cool, right? He has that new generation cool, that swagger. And he has a lot more cross appeal as a black and brown character. That's just my 2 cents.
So for those of you guys who are watching us still, I'd be interested to know what you think in the chat. Why has Miles Morales in a relatively short period of time taken off the way that he has? Because understand, he's been in video games. He has 2 animated movies, and he's made an appearance in I think he was in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. And here's the thing. T'Challa hasn't had that type of love.
Miles has had 2 movies.
Yes, I just said that. Yes, he's had 2 independent movies. Black Panther has not had his own animated movie. Black Panther hasn't even had his own animated series, with the exception of the stop action one that was based on Reginald Hudlin's run.
Black Panther has not had 2 movies.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy.
Every couple of years, Wolverine. Logan's got a bunch of them. Well, he killed a lot of them, but
he's been around for damn 200 years, so
Miles Morales is walking.
I agree. Speaking of that, when I was at Dragon Con this past year, somebody had a mashup costume that was like Miles Morales in static colors. It was hot. That was fire. Yes, I agree.
They couldn't resist the swagger of a black teenager. That line just won't go. Who said that, Vagrant? Let me know who said that. I could agree with a lot. Also, Spider-Man, Batman, maybe Wolverine and Superman are simply strong enough franchises they can support more than one hero sharing a mantle. No one
but
else.
That's based on time and investment in the individual characters.
All those characters have been around since before many of us were born, right? Maybe not
Batman and Superman specifically, but Wolverine, yes, is he's not a new character, but he's had time to invest in that character as an individual, both in his solo series, his X-Men appearances, and then when Hugh Jackman brought him to live action back 25 years ago now, I'm sure there was a surge in his popularity.
You can vaguely tell Peter Parker's story and it mirrors 50 Cent's story.
I don't think Peter Parker
was
was right, and I don't think he was banging chicks left and right like that.
Peter Parker had a mouth on him, though. He didn't take the bullying silently. He popped off with a smart response. That became more of a thing later on with Spider-Man. The early Spider-Man wasn't as much of a chatterbox as he is today. Miles Morales has had a book nonstop since he appeared. We are in year 15 of there being a book with Miles. Yeah, he's not the longest running black superhero. He's the longest that Spawn, but he's the longest running black superhero for Marvel Comics. Namor, Killmonger, Magneto, and Doom would be formidable alliance and axis of ruthless ass kicking. Yeah, he is a relatable character, and Peter writers have been messing him up lately. It's true.
So hold on a second. Well, we're not going to talk about the book that much today, but the current Spider-Man writer is a black woman by the name of, I can't remember her first name, but her last name is Ireland. And yeah. I've been a fan of Spider-Man.
Justine Ireland.
Justine Ireland. I won't say that she has been messing up with Spider-Man. You may mean previous writers before she got on the title. But I am enjoying her Spider-Man run. So let me just say that.
Mr. DC says Miles Morales took off because he is supposed to be black anyway, if you know about Anansi the Spider. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about the Miles Morales book. Miles Morales has had constant usage since his creation. He may be the only person of color at the big two who's doing that. Cage had 10 years. Miles is now in year 15. Yeah. Miles is an unstoppable force. I mean, don't sleep on how popular Miles Morales is. There's a whole generation of kids because of those two movies, because when we talked about entry points of kids getting into comics, there's a whole generation of kids where their Spider-Man is Miles Morales.
Just like for a whole bunch of folks, their Green Lantern is John Stewart. So
John Stewart, yeah.
Yep.
Please don't murder me.
So let me just say this. I was not a fan of Andy Garfield as Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire, I really enjoyed.
I know I'm the minority. I actually liked Andrew Garfield.
I did not. But I gotta say that Tom Holland Spider-Man is probably the best. It would be Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andy Garfield, and old boy from the 1970s who was in The Sound of Music, who was in the Spider-Man series. I can't remember his name right now.
Thank you to God Mivix Visions for the $2 super chat. Appreciate that. How many heralds does Anansi have? I think the term herald refers to anyone who's part of the Spider-Verse. So that's a lot of heralds. With Miles, he specified you're not simply a herald. He called Miles his champion. That's different. Just like T'Challa is the champion of Bast. Anansi said, I need my own champion, sister. Because when he's talking to Bast, he's like, you have your champion, T'Challa. I need my own champion. And he decided to make Miles Morales his champion. Not Peter Parker. Miles Morales is Anansi's champion.
Yeah.
He has many heralds, though, which would be Peter Parker and all these
Gwen
other
Stacy,
all these other Spider characters are his heralds. But his champion is Miles Morales.
Anansi, for those who don't know, is an African god. I can't remember what pantheon he's a part of, but he is a trickster god, much in the vein of Loki from the Norse pantheon.
Never played it. About to N64. Spider specified. We're not even going to get to Storm. You guys keep talking about Spider-Man. You got all these comments on Spider-Man. It was hot garbage. Peter can never keep his success.
No, which is disappointing.
I thought Peter couldn't catch a break. His middle age is rough.
Yep.
Miles doesn't get as political as T'Challa's story does. Imagine the positive interpretation of African king, genius spy, having real agency, public enemy. Yeah. Electric Bird needs when you live all the pre-orders and a book that has tons of variants, it's hard to hurt sales of that book. You'll always get tons of orders. Yeah, Miles Morales, he still gets at least 3 variant covers. Still, every issue, every friggin' issue. That says a lot. If you want to see a relatively happy, successful Peter, then read Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yo, well, he wasn't Spider-Man until recently. He was just Peter Parker. Ultimate Spider-Man is one of the best Ultimate titles. If you're not reading it, it may be better than Ultimate Black Panther. I love Ultimate Black Panther. Ultimate Spider-Man is phenomenal.
All right, let's get into the next book we're going to talk about here. As I said before, which is
Storm number 5.
Storm number 5.
This storm, while he's pulling that up, Storm number 5 falls into the One World Under Doom storyline. For those who don't know, after the events of Blood Hunt, the Sorcerer Supreme at the initial time was Dr. Stephen Strange, who has been the Sorcerer Supreme on planet Earth in our real world for like 45, 50 years. Dr. Victor Strange, along with being a brilliant scientist, also is into mysticism. He is an actual sorcerer. The planet was taken over by vampires. Strange couldn't figure it out. Doom was like, look, I have this plan, but in order to make my plan work, you, Stephen Strange, have to give me the title of Sorcerer Supreme. I'll give it back to you, fingers crossed, but I need to be Sorcerer Supreme. Strange was like, okay, Doom, if anything, is a man of honor, which he kind of is. I'll trust him to, eradicate this threat of the vampires. I'll give him the Sorcerer Supreme title. Doom does what he does, literally saves the day, and eradicates the threat of the Blood Hunt vampires. Well, while he has the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, he was like, Steven, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and hold on to this for a brief period of time. Dr. Doom is a narcissistic, egotistical asshole. There is no other way around it, right? But he's a brilliant person. And in his mind, I know what's best for planet Earth. I now have the power as the Sorcerer Supreme to make everything I want come true, so you guys will follow what I say. So he's literally taken over the entire world as the Sorcerer Supreme. And so Storm finds herself in Latveria dealing with Dr. Doom and his, manifestation as the Sorcerer Supreme. Go ahead.
I think you pretty much said everything I was going to say. That's pretty good. This was a significant issue.
I like that cover.
This cover's by Torrin Clark. It's the Black History Month variant. Shout out to Torrin Clark, who I consider to be just about one of the best cover artists in comics today, honestly. This issue was significant because this was Storm's level up. Maria Iodelli, first of all, if you want more details on the book itself, check out our episode 5 of Stormwatch. It's on our Black Comic Creators playlist on YouTube. We go into a deep dive as to the book. But here's the summary. Storm she died in the previous issue 4. But after dying, she was resurrected by Eternity, who was using her body as his host of his form. There is a cosmic battle, war going on between the entities Eternity and Oblivion that has been going on for eons, since the creation of time. It's a chess match in which having a million years go by is not a big deal, right? Between Eternity and Oblivion. And Oblivion ultimately is trying to have Death used as his secret agent, his sleeper agent, and within Eternity, they battle. And Eternity is trying to use Storm as his latest champion. He has had many other champions in the past. They have all died at the hands of Oblivion. He's hoping to use Storm as his newest warrior in the battle against Oblivion. And Eternity is not a good guy. I mean, just there's no concept of good or evil when it comes to these entities. They just are. They don't care about life and death and people's feelings. They're more concerned of the whole universe.
It's like a hurricane. A hurricane is neither good nor evil, despite the damage and destruction that it causes. It exists. You know, in Marvel Comics, Galactus, despite the fact that he kills trillions of people on a trillions of entities on a regular, consistent basis, he doesn't do it out of maliciousness. He needs to feed, he needs to eat. He is a force, literal force of nature. And that's what Eternity and Oblivion are. They don't have moral concepts of good or evil. They just are.
Yeah. So Eternity has resurrected Storm and given her the power of the Eternal Storm as a result. She is literally tied into the universe. She has cosmic energy. She goes up against Dr. Doom. Well, first, she goes up against the god Igun, the West African god or demon. I didn't say god, more of a demon spirit entity who was being used by Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo made a bargain with Igun to save Storm's life, to cure her body of the ailment, the radiation poisoning. Part of the bargain is she wasn't supposed to use her powers for 7 days. On the 7th day, situations were manipulated to the point, probably by by Eternity, so that she would or Igun himself, so that she would be forced into a situation in which she uses her powers, is killed by Igun because
violating the compact that
the contract she had, and is resurrected by Eternity, given the powers of the Eternal Storm, and she immediately kills Igun or consumes him, so to speak. You can't kill an entity on that level, gods, demons like that. They can't be killed. They can be reduced to their smallest form and made irrelevant, but they can't be destroyed per se. So she reduces him to using her powers, her weather powers really, reduces him to a small little ball and consumes him, which will be relevant later on in a later issue. So he's gone. Short work, light work. So then she goes to face Doom. Doom, in the previous issue, realized that Storm did not have her powers, which upset him, disappointed him, because he invited her to dinner trying to, woo her.
Doom, hold on real quick. Going back to the Chris Claremont run of the X-Men back in the 1980s, Doom has a thing for Storm. That has been something for the past literally 40 years. This is nothing new, and he's always wanted him some her.
Right. For further details on this, I just posted the link to the live that we did with Maria Deliandes. Anyway, so when he sees her get killed and then she comes back, he does a smart move. He throws his Doom bots at her. He doesn't know who this entity is. He saw Storm powerless and then dead. Then she comes back super powered up, looking like she's juicing. And he's like, well, let me test the waters and see what's going on here. Throws Doom bots at her. She wipes all of them out very easily. Faces him, and him being Doom, narcissist mixed with friggin' brilliant, says, I'm not worried. She's like, why not? I'm about to kill you. Well, because you're inhabiting the body, Eternity, of Aurora Monroe, and her moral compass and strength of will not allow her to kill me in cold blood as I'm eating my $1,000, tomahawk steak. So good luck with that. And she, in fact, trembles when Eternity is trying to force her to kill Doom. And Eternity's like a little shocked by this. Honestly, he didn't realize that she would be able to resist his powers over her, and says, all right, well, you won this day. I'll come get you later. And flies off. So that's going to come back at some point. This was the tie-in to the One World Under Doom storyline that's coming next month. This is all going to circle back.
Well, One World Under Doom has already started. Issue 1 came out last week. So issue 2 is what's going to be coming out. And let me just interject this very briefly. Yeah. On Sunday, Paul and I had the great opportunity to interview the writer of the Blood Hunt storyline, Jed McKay. For a Canadian, he's not a bad dude. He's pretty cool, actually. One of the things that I like about the Blood Hunt storyline is that when it comes to the cross-issue storylines, over the past 15 years, this has been one of the more significant ones because we are seeing what occurred in Blood Hunt translating over to stories right now. In fact, a little bit ago before we started, I was reading Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four, who you guys know, are the main nemesis to Doom. What happened in Blood Hunt led to Doctor Strange giving up the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme to Victor Von Doom, and it's now translating into storylines. There have been numerous cross-issue storylines in Marvel over the past 15 years. None of them matter. There was one, the Chaos King. Nobody talks about that anymore. There was Siege, which was a Thor cross-issue storyline. Thor's my guy. Love it. That one doesn't matter. And so on and so on. This one is probably one of the best ones, up there with Civil War and Secret Invasion. The Blood Hunt storyline was a very, very brilliant storyline because of that book and the ramifications that came afterwards. So if you have not read it, highly encourage you guys to do so.
It says Paul is muted. Am I muted?
No, you're not. It's just you, Vagrant.
Oh. Vagrant, your system doesn't like me. All right, so here's the thing. This is one of the things I wanted to bring up with regard to this. The name of this episode, Can Storm Save the Black Panther?
Before he goes into it, I think it's wrong to tie the two together like that way he's about to do. I understand where he's going. I understand it. But I think it's unfair for her. But go ahead.
That was kind of a dick move, but that's fine.
No, it's not a dick move. It's just saying I think it's unfair.
You didn't even let me say what
I know what you're going to say.
I understand you know what I'm saying, but they don't know what I'm going to say. That's
okay, right. But go ahead and say it.
Jeez. Two lawyers. It's all right. So Storm series is doing really well.
Really, really, really well.
She has the book has been in the top 20 consistently since its debut. At times, it's usually in the top 5 when it first premieres. Honestly, it's doing really well. They've been still doing multiple covers and variants for every issue. It is exceeding expectations. Marvel's doing a good job of promoting it. They put a good team on it. They've got a writer who's good and given him free reign to write what he wants to write. They haven't given him too many limitations other than she's supposed to be based out of Atlanta. I don't know what the reasoning is on that.
Because I'm here.
Sure. And, try to limit her to being on Earth as much as possible. He kind of violated that with this last issue. I think there's an unwritten rule personally of her and T'Challa that's like, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Because every time I've asked him, he's not really given a committed answer to that. But yeah, the series is doing fantastic. Most critically acclaimed Storm series it's ever been. And now we know it's going to be the longest running Storm series of all time. The longest Storm series was from 2000 and was it 16? I don't remember, but it was 11 issues. The Greg Pak series. And this series is already up to, I think, issue 15 is what it's slated for. So it has already exceeded expectations of any previous Storm series.
Stop, real quick, time out. If you guys are not getting this book, make sure that you go to your local comic book store, add this to your pull list. Make sure that you solicit it. Basically, if you just walk into a comic book store and pick up a book off the shelf, that doesn't count to the bean counters over at Marvel. They want to show that we as fans of these titles are looking for, clamoring for this stuff. So if we put it on a pull list and ask for it in advance, they know that people are excited about it. So that's very, very, very important. I apologize. Continue.
All right. No, that was a good thing to interrupt about. Pre-order. That is what has made this book successful. People say, like, for example, my vote doesn't count. That's why I don't vote. Pre-orders do count.
Pre-orders are votes for the books.
Pre-orders are literal votes for the books. There's no better way that you can support the creators that you want, or the characters that you want, or the stories that you want, than by pre-ordering the book. It is just that simple.
And let me just say this.
Jesus, man.
Go ahead.
And the pre-orders of this book have definitely impacted its success. Go ahead.
For those of you, I know, we see a lot of the same names, Pericles, Bo Biggs. If I didn't mention you, forgive me. You know who you are. If you're here watching us tonight, you're a comic book fan, but there are people who are not normal, regular viewers. Going to a comic book store, it's very, very simple to pre-order. Say, look, I'm new. I'm interested in this particular book. I'm interested in this particular title. Can you set this book aside? That's all you're doing. You're asking them to set it aside for you on a regular, consistent basis. Comic books come out every Wednesday. You don't have to go up there every Wednesday to pick it up, but you can let the comic book store in your area know, I'm interested in this title. Please order it for me and set it aside. That's basically what a pre-order is. A lot of people are doing that with Storm, which is why it has had the success that it's having currently. And that's all I wanted to say.
Issue 6, the solicits have already come out. Thor is going to be coming up. Your boy Thor is going to be in upcoming issues. Moreover than that, there's going to be a whole storyline regarding all of the Thunder Gods. We're talking the Thunder Gods from South America, from Africa, Shango, my guy. Thor's going to be there. There's an Asian one, I think, from Japan. Mm-hmm. There's a indigenous American one. There's like the battle, the meeting of all the gods, and Storm is going to be amongst them. That's significant. First, it's recognizing the fact that she's a goddess. Thor already acknowledged that she was a goddess in the Avengers when she joined the team in issue 17. He said, I'm leaving the team, so it's important that we have another Thunder God on the team. And he was referring to Storm, his cousin, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, she's getting a level up. It's her 50th birthday this year. Her debut.
Giant Size X-Men came out 50 years ago?
It came out 50 years ago.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did. 1975.
Jesus.
Storm is now 50 years old. This is her 50th year anniversary, which is why Marvel is doing such a big push on her. To their credit, they are giving her promotion and her glow up that she deserves. And they're giving Maria Iodelli the free reign to develop the character beyond being, I'm not even going to get into that discussion. That would be a whole nother hour. But beyond what she has been. Not all of Storm's history has been a positive. You know what I was about to say. I'm not going to go there. It's too much.
Ooh, that's funny.
That's too much. At some point, the Black Comic Lords is going to have like a Black Comic Lords After Dark or Black Comic Lords, what do you call it? Uncensored edition. You can get my feelings on that. But yeah, he's doing a lot of development. Everyone's like, oh, she's got these eternal cosmic powers. But did you ignore the baseline powers that she has. Like Maria has her traveling through lightning. Like traveling through lightning as a power. That's her baseline power. That's not her eternal storm power from eternity. He has her traveling through lightning as her power. She can go like the speed of light, basically.
The way Adam over in DC travels through phone lines and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he is giving her development of her powers and who she is. He has free reign to do it, and he's doing it. And he's not nearly getting as much credit as he should for what he's doing with this character. When they say she's the most powerful mutant in comics, in Marvel Comics, he's going to do that. He's writing her like that. And there are people that have issues with that. There are a lot of people that have issues with that.
Because she's a color gal.
She's a color gal. It was interesting. This particular issue triggered a lot of fans of Jean Grey. Because Jean Grey is getting her glow up right now is in the Phoenix Force. And the Jean Grey stands are fighting against the Storm stands, even though these two characters love each other like best sisters.
They are sisters.
They are literal sisters.
They are found family sisters.
Their fans are at each other's odds. They're like, no, my character is more powerful than your character. It's crazy. Comic fans are weird sometimes. Some of y'all are weird. Just weird. Like, it's comics. At the end of the day, it's comics. But, you know, it is what it is. Big Phil's in the house. BCL Unplugged. I like that. BCL Unplugged.
So basically, he's an older
BCL
gentleman because there
fan.
used to be a BET Unplugged.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the new Powers Love Storm. Man,
I can understand that.
Phil's always got to be counterculture. Don't think Reverend Rich would approve of BCL Unplugged. Reverend Rich would probably not be on BCL Unplugged. Actually, Reverend Rich does his own BCL Unplugged every Sunday. So that's, I mean, he doesn't really filter what he says. Much to my chagrin sometimes. But I don't like OP characters. Yeah, he likes the Phil's more of a street level guy. He doesn't like big, powerful people.
I can understand that.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. In short, go ahead and buy pre-order Storm. What's our next one we have here?
The next and last one, because I was planning on being here that long, but this smoke wagon has given me my second life. Yo, guys, this one right here, listen to me. This smoke wagon is extremely good. So
I'm going to do this
that
book
being said,
just being very quick. I don't have a lot to say about it because there's only one page that really kind of super mattered to me. And that's this one. Aliens versus Avengers. So look here. This book is written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Asad Ribic. This is the same duo, the same team that did this book right here.
Okay, I don't have that cover. I like that cover though.
Secret Wars. Okay? If you have not read Secret Wars, you're missing out. From 2015. It's a fantastic series. It's the omnibus. You can pick up the omnibus to get all the issues. The artwork is fantastic. The writing is fantastic. Secret Wars 9 is key. This is a good issue. The portrayal of Black Panther in the first issue was awesome. He's been gone since. Just slight spoiler. The Wakandans return on the last page.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't planning on discussing this one because it wasn't, quote unquote, that Black-centric, this particular issue. So, well, I mean, I like that cover. I've never seen that cover, so I need to get that variant. But
the Wakandans are on the last page. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. So So that being said, the Wakanda's on the last page of Avengers versus Predator. It's a good storyline. If you are familiar with the Alien universe live action, this plays into that. The character played by Michael Fassbender, who is a phenomenal actor, who is an automaton, has in one of the Alien movies released this plague on the progenitors who created life, and it's this whole big thing. And the comic book carries into that, where they have come to Earth, release the alien plague that are the xenomorphs, basically coming to Earth, taking over everything, killing everything, etc., etc. It's a good book. It's not really Black centric, but it is a good book. I am enjoying it. The book that I next had to talk about was Blade, though. So
Phil says, I see that Quran image behind you. Yes, right here is it is Vixen by Karan Grant, Jamaican artist. When I bought my original art from Titans Beast World Waller Rising, which is a splash page of all the Black heroes by Karan, I have the original art for that. He sent this picture along with 2 other small prints as freebies that he signed. So I have it posted behind me because it's a real dope image and he's a dope artist. Marwan Williams says, I just got my Blood Wars in today, just to throw it out there. What did you think about the artwork in that book? It was kind of crazy, right? The book is good, but can't pay that Hickman tax. That's why I would suggest Styles So Serious, just buy the omnibus if you don't want to buy all the back issues. Although honestly, the back issues shouldn't be that expensive.
I wouldn't imagine. Before the movie comes out, so you've got like 2-3 years, so you could probably find those things in dollar bins and such.
I have all the Secret Wars.
So
Phil
do I,
says, let's talk about Avengers versus Aliens. Written so well, but issue 3 felt like the art wasn't as good as the other 2. Assad is a beast, but I felt he did a better job in 1 and 2. Assad is a tremendous artist.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Would love to see Olivier Coipel draw an entire Black Panther run. Jeez, that would be phenomenal. He's literally one of my favorite artists. I mean, if you were to give me my top 5 favorite artists, Olivier Coipel would be on that list. I promise you. Didn't say that Aliens and Blade Runner is set in the
I've
same...
never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Aliens
and Blade Runner are in the same universe. Artwork is dope. All right.
Real quick, hold on a second. Just since we were just talking about Storm a little bit ago, what do you think the chances are of? I cannot pronounce his name. The Storm writer,
Maria Ayodele.
Maria. What do you think the likelihood of him being Eisner nominated for his role, his writing on this?
It's a high-profile book, so I'd say
right.
I think it's pretty good.
For those who don't know, the Eisner is to comic books what the Grammys are to music, the Tonys are to stage acting, the Emmys are for TV acting, and the Oscars are for movies. It's a very popular book. A book, for example, Sanford Greene, I think, is an Eisner Award-winning writer. He's one of the individuals.
Artist, not writer.
Artist, I apologize. Artist, along with, I think, was Chuck Brown, who is behind...
And David Walker.
Right. David Walker, yes. Who are behind the brilliant book, Bitter Root. So,
who, by the way, as an interruption, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm interrupting. We'll be interviewing on Sunday.
Cool. So just getting people who may not know what an Eisner is, it's a big deal in this industry, and it would be kind of cool if Mariah got an Emmy. Got an Eisner nomination for his writing on this book. I think that would be pretty cool.
Phil says there's no way the aliens are a threat to the Avengers.
They are. They absolutely are. When you got 20 million of them, yeah. So
they have acidic blood, man. That burns literally through steel. So Iron Man's armor can't protect him.
Nope.
Most of the quote unquote invulnerable superheroes would still be capable to be affected by that acidic blood.
Yep. So the aliens are akin to the Brood from who made their appearance in the X-Men. That's probably why they did the Brood.
Yeah, it was definitely an homage to the aliens. He may get one, but the culture has given it a pass. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's. What was the book you said you want to do next?
Blade.
All right.
Also by Brian Edward Hill, the writer behind the Ultimate Black Panther book. Again, as I said a moment ago, going back to the Blood Hunt storyline, this book, Blade, falls on the heels or follows up what happened in Blood Hunt. Blade was the main villain in the Blood Hunt storyline, and everything that happens in his book is a direct reflection to what happened in the Blood Hunt storyline. Blade, long story short, the character to his left is an ancient creature by the name of Pontius. He was a Roman centurion who got infected with the vampiric blood. He's now a vampire, has lived hundreds, if not thousands of years, and he is being viewed as the big bad. This is a spoiler. First and foremost, this writing in this book was brilliant. But basically, there was a group whose name I cannot remember told Blade that Pontius had this book. And in this book, it allowed him to come up with some type of mysticism to take over the world. And so they tried to sick Blade on Pontius to do their dirty work. The way Brian Hill wrote these few pages, the first 5 or 6, Pontius captures Blade. He has him at his complete mercy. And Blade is like, look, you're trying to take over the world. And Pontius is like, am I? Who told you that? What makes you think that? Well, these guys told me, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and you believe that? Okay. Well, look, I want to have a conversation with you. And if you, at the end of this conversation, still want to catch these hands, we can do this, right? So, again, he is in chains. Blade is in chains, completely at the mercy of Pontius. And then Pontius lets him go. It's like, look, follow me. Basically, this dude has created his own vampire nation where vampires, young and old, adult and child, are having their own insular community, just trying to live, even though they are the undead.
Like the one in Chernobyl.
Correct. Although the one in Chernobyl was led by Dracula, and Dracula kind of wants to take over and be more than just the region of this area. Pontius, he doesn't want that. He just wants to have a nice, quiet part of the world where he and his people can exist, because vampires are not alive. They exist. That's all he wants. And so the group that sent Blade there show up because somehow they tracked him. I can't remember now how they tracked him, but they tracked him to this area where Pontius is, and Blade basically takes them on and destroys them all. But the first 5 pages of this book, to me, were just spectacular. I liked the way Pontius was talking to Blade. There was no action. It was just cerebral. Like, why do you think what you think? What makes you draw this conclusion that that's what I'm trying to do? Right? And so, Blade has to think. Eric has to think like, maybe you're right. And he does end up being right. Pontius read the whole book. That's the subject of this, which is the MacGyver in this. He reads it cover to cover, has it completed, has it in his memory. It's like, here's the book. I don't need it. I have it downloaded in my memory banks. I don't need it anymore. And so he basically converts Blade to his way of thinking, not by fists, but his intellect and his wisdom. I can't say enough about this specific issue. I like the entire run, but this specific issue to me was very, very well done.
And it's the final issue.
Yes.
At least for now.
which is unfortunate. If you're gonna collect any book, it's only 5 issues, guys. This is a very, very good book. Highly recommend. And the volume that came before that, that led up to the Blood Hunt storyline, that's also very good. Brian Edward Hill is one of the top 10 comic book writers out there to me right now. Yeah.
All right. Fastly says, do it, Lewis. No, the culture has not. In fact, the culture doesn't pay much attention to it due to the some era of interest for the majority of the culture.
So basically what he's talking about is the Eisner Award. The Eisner, I'm guessing, is named after some dude who may or may not have been racist, which is not uncommon in this country. I don't know the dude. I just know that the award exists. So that's probably what they're discussing.
Eclectic has a question for you.
No, not that I recall. Dracula made an appearance, obviously, along with Bloodline. I don't know what happened with Chernobyl. I know, about 2-3 years ago, Chernobyl appeared in the Avengers, but I don't know. And Blade was the sheriff of that, but I don't know how we got from there to here.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to it. I honestly don't recall.
What's the new powers Blade show in issue 4 and 5? I think it's asking you, did he show those powers in these?
In this issue, no. But for those who don't know, in the last volume of the Blade book, Blade was going up against this ancient evil, and he did not think that he would be able to defeat her. And so Eric, aka Blade, was just a guy who was strong and could do stuff fast. He didn't exhibit anything other than being good with a sword and was a day walker. But he sought out his ancient enemy, Dracula, the Lord of the Vampires, who could turn into mist, turn into bats, etc., to try to get an upper hand in his battle. And so that actually led to Varney being able to take him over. But Blade has had a power up his own self. That didn't make an appearance in this specific issue. I can't recall if he exhibited. I think he exhibited those powers at some point through issues 1 to 4. I just can't recall off the top of my head. But Blade has had a power up thanks to the writing of Brian Edward Hill.
Wanted to give a shout out and thank you to God and Visions for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it.
Real quick, Keke Palmer in the BET Awards got Entertainer of the Year, and I don't understand why. Like, what did she do this year that made her Entertainer of the Year? Just something I was thinking.
She embarrassed her husband with Usher.
It wasn't her husband. It was just her baby daddy. But okay, sure. Yeah, that didn't make sense. But okay.
Much of our culture and society does not make sense.
Yeah.
All right. So next book.
That was all the books I had.
George Richard says, honor Black comic lords from Huntsville and Alberta. Appreciate it.
Right next door.
Lauren says, stop hating on people.
I don't know who's hating.
I do remember he can turn into a wolf, mist, and bats, but did he show anything new in the last Red Band issues?
No, he did not.
Yeah, movie with Sissa. Okay.
I did that movie.
One dope day, something like that. Something
like that. But that's just one movie. Does that one movie make her Entertainer of the Year? Like, that doesn't make sense. I know she was going up against Cynthia Erivo, who is a very fine actress who's kind of look weird now. And I'm sure that Wicked has made significantly more money than that movie. It's just an interesting choice to make her Entertainer of the Year. But it is the BET Awards, and quite frankly, who cares?
All right, I'm going to rip through these last 2 books. These are kind of like on our honorable mention books that I just want to note them and talk about their significance. First one is Doom Academy. This is a spin-off series from Strange Academy, which was a fantastic series done by Humberto Ramos and Scotty Young. Doom
reminds me of the New Mutants.
Very much so. New Mutants or early X-Men, what have you.
Or Hellions.
What did you say?
Hellions. Back in the day.
Yes, Hellions Academy. So, Strange Academy, for those who don't know, is a school for magic kids who want to learn the mystic arts.
It's Hogwarts in Latveria.
It is Hogwarts. Well, it's Strange Academy was based in Louisiana. It was
But Doom Academy is
founded.
in
It was.
Latveria. Yeah.
Would you let me finish? God,
Go
you
ahead.
constantly.
Go ahead.
Strange Academy was based out of Louisiana in New Orleans. It was founded by Dr. Strange. The headmaster, day-to-day operations guy was Dr. Voodoo, because that's his hometown is New Orleans. Fantastic series. So much so that there's rumors there's going to be a Disney Plus television show, which we've been waiting on for years. Angelique Roche said that even she thought it might be in the works at some point. But ultimately, the school was owned by Dr. Strange, hence the name Strange Academy. Dr. Strange gave up the role of Sorcerer Supreme to Dr. Doom at the end of Blood Hunt. And Dr. Doom, being the new Sorcerer Supreme, said, well, I'm going to move these kids out of this backwater city in the United States and move them to Latveria where they can upgrade them to a better school, better facilities, better teachers, etc. The first issue was kind of dope. The kids are like a little apprehensive at first because they're like, Dr. Doom, Latveria. And they're like, wow, this school's actually pretty cool. The analogy of it being Hogwarts and the wonder that you had, like when you watched the first Harry Potter film and you saw the wonder of Hogwarts, they really captured that in this first issue. You really get the vibe that this school would be like a really cool place to go to high school. And the main protagonist in this series is Zoe Laveau. She was always kind of a lead in the original Stranger Academy series, but there was another girl by the name of Emily, a white girl, who was sort of the main protagonist who the story centered around. She's gone now. She went crazy, became a villain. Long story, no one cares. Zoe is now the lead of the series in Doom Academy. And she has a unique story because she died. And her parents, she is a descendant of Marie Laveau. If you don't know who that is, look it up. Long Marvel history based on a real life person. And she died, and her parents basically made a deal with the spirits, the dead, devil, whatever, to resurrect her, and she got resurrected as a zombie. Until she wears this amulet around her neck, which allows her to appear human. But for all intents and purposes, she's a zombie, a magical zombie. And she's the lead of the character. It's a cool series. I'm not doing any justice, but that's the one I wanted to talk about. The other series of honorable mention, there's Exceptional X-Men, written by Eve Ewing. There's a black character by the name of Ransom. I'm sorry, this isn't the Ransom one. There's a black character by the name of Bronze in this series.
It's a young black girl. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she didn't have a whole lot to do, but she kind of represents the positive outlook of the youth of today. So I'll say that. We talked about Storm, we talked about Ultimate. Weapon X-Men. Now, I had no interest in the series. I have too many titles. I'm trying to pare my titles down. I certainly don't want any more mutant titles. But this one is drawn by Chris Cross, who is a legend. He's a GOAT. Chris Cross was one of the artists from Milestone, the original Milestone back in the day. He was the artist on Blood Syndicate. He is a fantastic artist, and he's the artist on this Weapon X-Men series. So I at least picked up the first issue. It's just standard, but it's basically really standard X-Men stuff. Hey, there's a big bad that's come out. Let's form a team and go take it out. And we're all badass guys who are willing to do whatever it takes to take out the bad guy.
Is that Cable? That's Cable.
It's Cable, Wolverine, Deadpool, Jonathan Starsmore, and Thunderbird, the original Thunderbird. That's the team.
So Chris Cross will make you what?
Jump. You're so old, and so am I, because I got that reference. Jeffrey Thorne was in the house. I think he left to go get his dinner. X-Force is continuing on. We just found out, unfortunately, the final issue will be issue 10.
Oh, I didn't
of
know that.
this series. Yes, yes. The series has now been canceled. It's been a hell of a ride. He had some really great high-minded concepts with this device that predicts,
Bad things that were going to
bad things were
happen.
going to happen, and the super science behind it. Having Forge as the leader, the original artist was really great on this series, also. But I guess they just not enough sales on it. Not enough
Right.
y'all were pre-ordering it to make it sustain, and that's a shame because Jeff has been on the show and he's talked about the fact that he had at least 20 issues in his head for this series, which means there's a lot of stories that are left off the table that we'll never know or never see. And I'm sure they would have been dope because he's a dope writer. So
That gives him more time to write a Black Panther story. So
yeah. Power Fantasy number 6. This I didn't get this issue yet.
I have it. I've read it. I read it several days ago, so I cannot articulate about the book because, quite frankly, I don't really recall everything right now. But if you're not reading the Power Fantasy from Image Comics, highly recommend. I think we're on issue 6 right now.
Yeah, I think this is issue 6.
Yeah. It's a very good book. Long story short, you have a group of individuals who are super powered. It's not like in the Marvel or DC universe where every third person has some type of power or ability. In the Power Fantasy, you have an extremely small group of people who have powers and abilities, and they kind of try to keep each other in check. They're like a family, even though they're not biologically related. It's a very extremely good story. One of the main characters is a brother by the name, I think his name is Etienne. He is a telepath, probably much more powerful than Xavier over in Marvel. It is a very, very good read. So yeah, pick up the Power Fantasy.
Marc is the one who got into this series, and it is indeed a dope series.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, New Champions. One of my favorite series of the 90s was the New Warriors. They really were the team, the youth team, the teenage / early 20-something team of the 90s. This book has a lot of those vibes. There was a Champion series several years ago that had like young Cyclops, don't ask, multidimensional time shift type thing.
Time travel.
Miles Morales, Ms. Marvel, Vision, the Vision's daughter, Nova, Sam Alexander, who's a better Nova than Richard Rider, honestly, and Ironheart, all on the same team. Great series. Eve Ewing was the writer for a while. Fantastic series. This is kind of like the new version of that. A lot of these characters, what was the book that they started out in? Was it Thor? It was some random.
Are you talking about the original New Warriors, or are you talking
about
no?
This iteration of Champions. It started in.
I don't remember them in Thor.
Hold on, I think it was Captain Marvel. I want to say it was either Captain Marvel or it was Spider-Woman. It was one of those two series. It might have been Spider-Woman was the series that they started out in. They were actually duped by some evil organization to come together, and they decided to form their own super team. In this issue, which is the second issue, they're expanding their roster and adding more team members. Chief among those is this character, Gold Tiger, who you see in the lower right-hand corner. She's a young Wakandan girl who her powers is seemingly to the powers of alchemy, where she can touch something and turn it into gold. I don't know if it's actual gold or a gold-like substance, but when she touches things, it turns into some gold-looking substance. And her name is Gold Tiger. Her outfit is based on the original outfit that Jack Kirby designed for Black Panther, which was a yellow and black striped outfit. So that's kind of cool. There's another black character in it as well. This character in white, his name is Squire, Moon Squire. All these characters are kind of like different versions of existing characters. Like this character in the middle, his name is Cadet Marvel, kind of an offshoot of Captain Marvel. You've got Phantasm here, who's kind of like a Ghost Rider type of character, but instead of a motorcycle, she's on roller skates.
She's Dazzler.
Dazzler, yeah, Dazzler.
Dazzler, circa 1984.
But Moon Squire is a Moon Knight character, and he's a young black boy. I think he's very young. I want to say if he's 15, he's like 15 at most. Whose mom knows he's a superhero. But it's a cool series. I dig the vibe of the series. It's very upbeat, really cool. I enjoyed it.
I just picked up issue number 1 of this. I know that all 4 issues have, is it 4 or 5?
4.
Whatever the number 4. I know all 4 have dropped. I was not aware that this existed for whatever reason. My main comic book store did not have issue 1, but I went to another store just Wednesday and picked up issue 1 from that one, and I'm in the process of reading it. I do like the milestone things. As you are aware, I've mentioned here before, I'm not a fan of the character hardware at all. I just do not like that dude. But the remainder of the image, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. The milestone characters I really enjoy, and I think I will be enjoying this book.
Now, when you say you don't like hardware, understand, Marc has never really read the original milestones. He never read those. So
I have some. And I've read some of the original hardware, and I just don't like that guy.
So you just don't like even the original one?
I just don't like him. No.
I thought most of your influence on hardware was the new season.
No. Yeah, right. I do have the new stuff, but I've been going back. So back in the 90s when Milestone originally dropped, for whatever reason, I didn't pick it up. I never read the original static, hardware, blah, blah, blah. But I have over the past, say, 5 to 10 years been slowly incorporating that stuff into my collection. And I have got several issues of hardware. As a character, I am not a fan of his. I just don't like that guy.
I'm an OG Milestone fan from day one. Collected all those issues when they first came out 30 years ago. You see my Milestone poster here that's signed by Dennis Cowan. I got it signed several weeks ago when he came to Orlando. Shout out to Milestone Comics, who celebrated its 30th anniversary yesterday. On February 27th, 1993, Milestone Comics premiered.
R.I.P. Dwayne McDuffie.
Yeah, so they had their birthday recently. But this, just to summarize, this Shadow Cabinet book it was really kind of a culmination of the entire reboot of the Milestone universe, this Milestone Season 1, Season 2, by Joe Illidge. Fantastically written. Joe Illidge himself was an intern who became an editor and writer over at Milestone back in the day, 30 years ago. Die-hard Milestone guy. And the love that he had for the Milestone universe and these characters is clearly evident in this series. If you have any questions about it, want to learn more, we did a series on each of these issues with him called Shadow Factor. You can find it on our YouTube page under our Black Comic Creators or interviews section. This particular issue, the 4th issue, was a culmination of the entire series. It was fantastic. Everybody got their shine. This particular cover was done by Dennis Cowan, the GOAT, Dennis Cowan, one of the founding fathers, the first father of Milestone Comics, a personal hero of mine.
So let me stop you and interject this. Paul loves this dude.
Don't stop me when I talk about this, because
I want to tell people how much you love this dude.
No, don't stop me. This is actually literally important to me. I would not be a Black comic lord today. I would not be one who collects Black comics, etc., if it was not for this dude. He's personally important to me. I'm keeping it 100 with you, like for real.
Yep,
it's important to me. So I got to see this cover at Original Art Expo a few weeks ago, the original uncolored original art. It was selling for way more money than my wife would ever allow me to spend on anything comic book related. But it was just incredible to see the original art for this brilliant cover in that form. So if you're a fan of Milestone, you should definitely own this series, particularly if you're a fan of the original Milestones from back in the day. It's a culmination of everything. Everybody's in it. It's really cool. It's an homage. It's a thank you letter to the fans. So highly recommended.
So basically what I was getting ready to say and what I was going to tell the people is that Paul has mentioned many, many, many times, even before we started doing this together, in private, he's mentioned how important Dennis Cowan is to him. When Paul was a young pimple-faced, nerdy kid at Rollins College in Orlando, Florida, Dennis Cowan came to his college. Paul was responsible for escorting him around the campus. And if I'm not mistaken, Dennis put Paul onto the Black Panther character. So So I was just going to explain to folks, so you didn't have to, again, how important that dude is to you. So yeah, that's all. Basically, that's all I was going to say.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. What else do we got here? Miles Morales, number 30. So Miles Morales, I mentioned all this. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I already talked about it. Miles is now the champion of Anansi. He just came back for Wakanda. He's been healed of his vampiric affliction that he got in Blood Hunt. And he's back with his family in Brooklyn. He has a brother now in, what's the guy's name?
Bob.
Silk Sludge. It starts with an S. I don't know. His clone, who's now been adopted.
The dude who took over for him while he was gone. Oh, right. Yes. I don't remember the guy's name.
He's been filling in for Miles in school and stuff to make people not realize that Miles was gone. But he's been incorporated into Miles's family. They literally consider him Miles's brother. Even the mother was like, "You're Morales now, so you're part of this family. You're like I may not have birthed you, but you're my son's brother, and you're a part of this family, and you're Morales." So it was kind of a beautiful moment. That's kind of what makes Miles such a unique character, because he has a family. He has a mother, father, and a sister. They know who he is as a superhero. It's not a secret. They encourage him to go out and save the world because he knows that he can do it, and that's his responsibility. He's taking it on. It's a very unique dynamic. He's not a broken individual. He is a whole individual.
Yeah. Think about that. As you mentioned that, as I'm sitting here thinking, running through my mental catalog of superhero characters in general, Black superhero characters specifically, other than Monica Rambeau and him, what other Black superheroes come from a nuclear family that's intact?
That's right.
That's interesting. Like, not Cyborg, not, we never hear about Mr. Terrific's family.
Even T'Challa's father's dead.
Right. I was just about to say, even we know T'Challa's father died when he was young.
Both of T'Challa's birth parents are dead.
Yes, right. Because Ramonda is T'Challa's stepmother, Shuri's birth mother, but T'Challa's stepmother.
Storm's parents.
We don't know. I think, from the CW series with Vixen, her parents were killed. Who else? I don't know anything about Bumblebee's family over in DC. Yeah. I mean, if anybody knows of any Black superhero specifically who comes from a nuclear family that is present in the comic books, let us know. Other than Monica Rambeau and Miles Morales, those are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what makes him a unique character. So anyway, in this story, this is written by Cody Ziegler. Cody Ziegler has been the writer on this entire volume. Cody Ziegler also got tapped to write Deadpool. He's doing a fantastic job on Deadpool. He's captured Deadpool's voice very well because Cody Ziegler has a good sense of humor. So he's able to write those comedic elements of Deadpool really well. Deadpool has a daughter, a Hispanic daughter. I think her name is Ellie. And she met Miles in one of his issues earlier, about 5 issues back. And she was trying to kill him and realized, Spider-Man's kind of a cool dude. I don't want to kill him. So they separated, not as friends or anything, but at least, they were cool. So Deadpool was killed. He came back. He's broke. He needs money. Took on a job. He's hired by Agent Yao to kill Miles. And, Deadpool's not a good guy or a bad guy. He's a mercenary. And he's like, all right, fine. I'll kill the Spider-Man guy. So Ellie, who's still learning how to be an assassin mercenary for hire type person, she's trying to follow in her father's footsteps, but she's not evil. And she likes Spider-Man. She's like, she met him. She thinks he's cool. He thinks he's a superhero. And she basically is like, Dad, don't kill Spider-Man. He's a good guy. But Deadpool had shot his brother, Shift, who was posing as Spider-Man. Spoiler alert. And so Miles finds out because he was on the phone with Shift when he was coming back to New York from Wakanda. And so Miles confronts Deadpool and his daughter in this issue about them trying to kill his brother Shift. So that's what this issue is about.
You realize you remembered the name just off the top of your head.
No, I saw it in the chat. People wrote the
okay. Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Let's see. Only 1 or 2 more here. Mystique. This book is about, obviously, the character Mystique from the X-Men books. She's married to Destiny, Irene Adler. Irene Adler has been captured by S.H.I.E.L.D., specifically Nick Fury Jr., for whatever various reasons. This book, although it's labeled Mystique, it's actually Mystique and Nick Fury Jr. book. He is actually a lead in the book as well. It doesn't say Nick Fury on it. He's not on the cover, but this is a Nick Fury book. He's hunting her down, and she's basically, it's like a cat and mouse game between the two of these characters. Dope series. Well written. If you like espionage and intrigue and all that stuff, this is that series for you.
Let me interject something. You know perfectly well that that's my jam right there.
That's why I
picked up I picked up issue 5 because you said there was a Wakandan character introduced in this book. Will I understand what's going on in 5 without reading 1 through 4? Or should I pick up 1 through 4?
Well, you should pick up 1 through 4 because I think it's a dope series. I haven't read 1 through 4. I picked up like 5 randomly and read it, and I perfectly understood what was going on. Okay. There's not much you need to know. Irene is being held by S.H.I.E.L.D. Mystique is trying to get her back, but Mystique also has an alternative agenda going on, and it's a cat and mouse game between Mystique.
That's all I need to know. You said you haven't read 1 through 4. 5 is good, so I'm good.
Yeah, so you can really just pick up from there and keep going.
I just picked it up Wednesday, so yeah, I got it.
Dope series. I would pick up the issue before. That's the one that got me started on the series, issue 4. And it does give you some setup for issue 5. So I would tell you to go pick up issue 4.
Okay. All right, cool.
But yeah, just dope series. Just I don't think enough people are talking about it. I think it's a good series.
All right.
So I think that was everything.
Yep. So the next thing that we typically do at this point is what you watching.
Oh, so yeah. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about, where is it?
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Damn it. That's weird. I don't know why I can't find it. That's fine. Let's just do this. This is the biggest story in terms of what you're watching this week, which is Captain America 4, The Brave New World. A lot of talk about the drop off in the sales of tickets on this book. I might actually go see it again tomorrow with my daughter because we have a daddy-daughter weekend this weekend. And it occurred to me that we haven't seen a movie together since some movie I didn't really want to see that actually turned out to actually be pretty good. So I might take her to go see Captain America: Brave New World tomorrow. It did really well its first week. The movie was made for $190 million, which is cheap by Marvel standards. Usually their movies are $200+ million. It has made $190 million already. But that isn't the budget for a film. It's $190 to make $1 million to make the movie, but they probably spent another $150 million to promote the movie.
Yep.
So in order for it to quote unquote break even, it still has a lot to go. Is the problem. And there's a big drop off. And it keeps going lower every week.
And it's only been out at this point for 2 weeks, I want to say. I think this is the second week.
So people are like, well, you know, that's to prove the movie was terrible. First of all, the movie wasn't terrible. Was it the greatest Marvel movie? Good. No, it was not the greatest Marvel movie. But it's not terrible as some people are saying.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing that's the added factor. People aren't going to movies anymore. This movie sales are down across the board. It doesn't matter what movie you have. Movie ticket sales are down, significantly down. People now have 4K televisions, streaming services, and streaming services are doing first run movies now. Netflix has great movies that they're doing. Amazon has great movies that they're doing. We have television series that are so dope. It's like, why would I even be interested in watching a movie when I can watch these television series that are incredible? Buyers have more options, they have more choices, and they have better equipment to get a movie-like experience. You can have a 85-inch OLED 8K television with a surround sound system in your home and make as much unlimited popcorn in your microwave as you want and not have to pay $20 to go see that film.
So
you just have to wait a few months.
Let me just interject real quick. And although overall I'm not going to disagree with what Paul said about the overall movie sales being down, while he was talking, I just looked it up. The movie Wicked has made $634 million worldwide. It's obviously been out a couple of weeks longer, but it's done extremely well. The issue that Captain America: Brave New World has is twofold. You have the racist white folks who are saying Sam Wilson is not my Captain America. Number two, you got the Hotepian folks saying, I'm not going to go watch this movie because they did not recast T'Challa. They're tying T'Challa, shout out to Buckmeister. Buckmeister over on the Twitters, who I follow. He's recast T'Challa all day, all night. He is boycotting that film because as an overall company, Marvel has not recast T'Challa. So he's, I guess, not supporting anything Marvel related. And I was trying to get him to understand is that the bean counters at Marvel, at Disney, they're not going to see the correlation between Wakanda, T'Challa, and this movie. The only thing that they're going to see is that this Black-led movie, led by Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, did not make a lot of money. He just could not grasp that concept. So you got a lot of that. There are certain people that Paul and I know who aren't going to see it because they fall into that same vein. Disney has a recast T'Challa, so I'm not going to support anything Disney. I think that's the wrong mindset to take. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I get it. But as a Black-led movie, I think it's incumbent upon us to support it, especially if it's good. And this movie is good. Is it the best Captain America movie? No, that title goes to Winter Soldier. But is it a bad movie? No, it's better than a huge slate of Marvel movie. It's better than Thor: Strange New World. It's better than Iron Man 3. It's better than The Eternals, etc., etc. It is a very good movie. I think that Harrison Ford did a extremely good job as Thunderbolt Ross in the light of the death of William Hurt. If you have not seen it at the theater, I would encourage you to do so. I personally gave it about an 8, 8.5. I really enjoyed this movie. It was a fun, entertaining movie.
I didn't give it an 8. I gave it a 7.5.
Until you talked to me, and then you bumped it up to an 8.
I said it could possibly be an 8, but it's a 7.5, maybe an 8. The reason it's not larger for me, besides, well, the most obvious one is Isaiah Bradley's treatment in the film was not to my liking. I didn't like the fact that they left him in prison, even though there was clear evidence that he should have been exonerated earlier. So he spent 2/3 of the film in prison unnecessarily, which is a bit triggering for me, given his history of being imprisoned wrongly. I just thought that was a glaring wrong. I mean, I'm literally in the theater watching the film, and I'm like, okay, can we now let Isaiah out of prison? The man's literally making me cry when he's talking about he doesn't want to be back in prison, and Carl Lumbly is playing him so well with a tear dropping out of his eye that I feel that way, and y'all want to move on to the next battle.
Carl Lumbly needs to be Oscar nominated for his portrayal.
I mean,
he did a phenomenal job.
Fantastic job.
Yeah.
By the way, Mark and I would be remiss without giving a shout out to Danny Ramirez, the actor who plays Falcon.
So for those who don't know, the guy who plays the Falcon, the actor, his name is Danny Ramirez. That's his real name?
Danny Ramirez. That's his real name.
Danny Ramirez, unbeknownst to me, went to the University of Miami. And in several scenes, the University of Miami is prominently displayed. In fact, when he meets Isaiah Bradley for the first time, he's wearing a U t-shirt. So I was in the theater and I was like, that whole Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when he's like pointing, that's exactly what I did at the theater. I'm like, oh shit. Because he had on the U t-shirt. But all that aside, all that being said, it was an extremely good movie. Oh, there's a third category of people who are quote unquote boycotting this movie. There's a character by the name of Sabra. Sabra is the Israeli hero who made her first appearance in a Hulk book, which number I don't remember right
she
now.
She was a mutant specifically.
Right. In the Hulk book, the character Sabra is the Israeli version of Captain America. She is their nation's premier superhero. And in the Hulk book, she inadvertently kills a Palestinian kid, right? And Hulk, who is a quote-unquote monster, was like, damn, how dare you kill this kid? Well, a lot of people were boycotting the movie. They never wanted to see the movie anyway. Let's just say that. But they were using the character of Sabra as an excuse to boycott it. Her existence in this movie had really nothing to do with the nation state of Israel. She was an Israeli, but they gave her the backstory of going through the Red Room, much like Natasha Romanoff did, right? So unless you read the comic books, you wouldn't know who this character was or what her connection was. So that was just an excuse for people who weren't going to see the movie anyway to not see the movie. Also, as an aside, free Palestine.
There were clear editing problems in the film. There were random scenes that just didn't make sense. Having the leader pop up and kill the Navy SEAL commander, like, first of all, how did he even get there?
Right. How did he know where they were? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, it just, you could clearly see that these were scenes that were part of other scenes, and because of editing, they just didn't make sense, and they didn't explain why certain things happened. And there was, look, I understand the need to do re-edits. I suspect, I mean, first of all, the Serpent Society was definitely going to play a bigger role in the film. All those characters never came in. He only ended up getting one member of the Serpent Society.
Giancarlo did a good job. I enjoyed his performance.
You had Sabra, the character of Sabra. Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito did an excellent job. You had the character of Sabra even wearing her superhero suit at one point in the movie. You saw her wearing you saw the blue superhero suit with the Saber symbol on it. And it's like all of a sudden, why is she wearing that? She is just a government agent, and yet she has the superhero suit underneath her jacket, which you can see without any explanation. It was just little things like that were just annoying to me.
But overall, the movie was a very good movie. If you have not seen it,
it was a good popcorn flick. I enjoyed the film. I saw it there with my big bowl of popcorn, sat there and ate it, enjoyed the action scenes. Someone said the CGI was terrible. I disagree. I don't think the CGI
I disagree with that. Yeah.
I thought the Hulk scenes were great. The flying scenes with Falcon and Cap Falcon flying around with the fighters, I thought that was really well done.
So real quick, let me just interject this. So back in the Eternals, if you saw that movie, which was a bad movie, but there was a celestial that came out of the water from the core of the planet and was frozen and has been there for at least 4 or 5 years. No Marvel property has dealt with that issue until this movie. And there was a scene where American military was getting ready to fight the Japanese military, and Captain America and Falcon were trying to stop it. Those scenes were really, really, really good. Those were some really good scenes. But I really enjoyed this movie. Yeah.
Someone said here, the character of what's her face? Layla Taylor, the president's aide. She was underutilized. I think she should have been a romantic interest for Sam. You oftentimes don't really get to see Black superheroes with love interest. Even T'Challa's love interest in the Black Panther film, they didn't really have a lot of that in there. Right. They had like one kiss at the end, basically.
Right, the way Captain America and Steve Rogers had with Peggy Carter.
Yeah, you need to show Black love. You know, you need to have a positive portrayal of Black love. Layla Taylor in the original was a character from the original comic books, the original Captain America and Falcon comics. Although she hated, it was like a love-hate relationship because she was a pro-Black nationalist and she viewed Sam as being a bit of a Uncle Tom sellout dude.
Sambo, not Uncle Tom, but Sambo. The issue that I had with Layla Taylor is she was a Secret Service agent. In the quote-unquote real world, the way that that character was interacting with the president would not happen in the real world. Understand, the Secret Service are bodyguards. The way that she was interacting with the president was more along the lines of an advisor. To me, it would have made more sense if that character would have been his national security advisor, secretary of state, or chief of staff. Her interacting with him as just a Secret Service agent didn't make sense to me. But I agree that her role could have been larger. Some people over on the Twitters were saying that they could have cut out Saber altogether and increased her role. And I'm not going to say that they're wrong. So, but yeah.
Real quick, if you're watching, please hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, just take a second and just hit the like button. Doesn't cost you anything. We're not asking you for anything. Just hit the like button. If you have an additional moment, please share the videos. Just hit the share button. Share it over whatever social media platform that you like. We're trying to grow this channel and get the word out about Black Comic Lords, and simple things like liking the video and sharing it on your social media helps us do that. If you want to watch more of these content in the future, subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel, and you'll know when we're going to do this stuff in the future.
All right, let's move on to Paradise.
All right. I will not disagree with you on that.
So
Marc introduced me to this show.
All right. So if you have Hulu or access to stuff that's bootleg, Paradise is one of those shows that you need to watch.
Thank you for phrasing it like that.
You're right. The main star of the show is Sterling K. Brown. He was in This Is Us. He was also in American Fiction. He was in Jobe in Black Panther.
Jobu.
Jobu.
Made up
King
character. Should have been Cien, but I won't talk
Cien,
about
right. He was King T'Chaka's brother in Black Panther 1. He had like 7 minutes of screen time. Sterling K. Brown is a brilliant actor. This man can act. If you have not seen the movie Marshall, directed by Reginald Hudlin, shout out to Reggie Hudlin, and also Chadwick Boseman was in that movie. You need to watch that as well. Sterling K. Brown can act. Very good actor. But he plays a Secret Service agent to the President James Marsden, who you see on the left of your screen. I'm not going to give any spoilers about what's going on other than the fact that Sterling is this main Secret Service agent to James Marsden. We're on episode 7, just dropped on Tuesday, whenever the show drops.
Which was phenomenal.
It is because you get to see how we are where we are in present day through flashbacks. I don't want to say more to spoil it because I want you guys who are interested to maybe see this to come into it with fresh eyes the way that I did when it dropped. Listen, guys, you got to watch this show. Paradise, I cannot say enough. It's kind of an espionage, whodunit type of sci-fi apocalyptic type show. And I don't want to say more than that because it may spoil it for you.
We literally can't say anything about the story without spoiling it.
Correct.
I will tell you, I'm at my age, which is significant. I've watched a lot of television. The 7th episode of this show is literally one of the top hours, whatever, I think it was an hour of television I've ever watched in my life. It was that.
I've watched a lot of television as well. It's a very good show. I won't go as far as Paul, because there have been a lot of good stuff more than that, but it was a very good show. It's a very good episode.
The 7th episode was a culmination of the 6 prior episodes. It was emotionally resonating. I think why it resonated with me is because it was timely for what we have going on in the world today.
Yeah.
If in our present world there is a crisis, I'm not going to define what the crisis is, but there's a crisis. How would the president of the United States and his administration handle that crisis? That's what this show talks about and deals with in this particular.
That's a good way to say it. That's a good way to say it.
And it inspired fear in me because if this particular crisis happened for real, we'd all be screwed.
Well, yeah, because Donald Trump is a fucking moron. We all know that, and
he's not a moron. I refuse to say that anymore. Donald Trump is not a moron. He has no moral center.
He is a moron, Paul.
He's not a moron.
He is a moron, Paul. Donald Trump is a racist, traitorous, raping fucking moron. Fuck Donald Trump.
I agree with all the above except the moron part.
That's fine, but he is a moron. People who know him say that he's a moron. People who have worked for him say that he is stupid as hell. That aside, the lady to the right on your screen, she is the Elon Musk character in this whole thing. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You've got Elon Musk, a Secret Service agent, and a president who is kind of a mix between Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton. Yep.
Yeah.
So very, very good show. Before we get out of here, because we've been on here for going on 3 hours now, a couple of shows that I want to mention while I'm talking, if you could possibly pull it up. There's a new movie that's going to be coming up. I want to say next month in March, maybe April, called G20 with Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to be playing the president of the United States. And it's much like she went to the G20 summit Terrorists take over. The main terrorist is Anthony Starr, the guy who plays Homelander in The Boys. He is the main bad guy. So you're looking at a mix between Olympus Has Fallen and Air Force One. If you can watch the trailer for that, go on IMDb, go on YouTube. I think it's called G20. That looks like it's going to be very good. There's another miniseries that's out right now. I think it's on Netflix called 0 Day. You also have another Black female president. I think everybody was thinking that Viola Davis was going to be pres. But Viola, no, help me out. Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett plays, yeah, so this is G20. Watch the trailer for this. This is an action movie. This is significant because you have an action movie that stars a Black woman who is older. When have you ever seen this? Because Viola Davis, understand, is like 57, 58 years old.
What was that
right?
movie Harrison Ford played where he was president and it was action? Air Force One.
Air Force, that's what I mentioned earlier.
This is basically Air Force One with a Black woman president.
I just said that. This is a mix between Air Force One and Olympus Has Fallen. That's what this is. And this is significant because, you know, first off, we don't get a lot of action movies that star Black people. So let's start there. We don't have a lot of action movies that star Black women. We don't have any action movies that star older Black women. There have been some action movies that starred Black women, like Colombiana with Zoe Saldana, which was very good, which should have had a sequel. Widows, that also starred Viola Davis, was also pretty good. But this is a rare situation, okay? Watch the trailer. It's very, very good. Amazon G20 movies, a girl boss power fantasy in the worst way. I don't know what that means. Fuck whoever said that. The trailer looks very good, so I disagree with that title altogether. But going back to what I was saying about 0 Day, you have Angela Bassett also plays the president. There is a terrorist attack on American soil. Robert De Niro plays an ex-president who is in charge of trying to get behind, figure out what went on. He's basically the head of the Warren Commission. That's generally what you have. For those who don't know, who are of a certain age, the Warren Commission were the individuals back in the 1960s, named after Earl Warren, who tried to investigate how and why President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. But those are two things that that I would suggest that you guys watch. Angela Bassett has a very, very small part in this series, so I'm not going to make it seem that she is larger than what she is. But it is an interesting series because, again, it involves espionage and trying to figure out who done it. But yeah, that G20 movie looks very, very, very good. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I had to say about that.
Von Al says Angie is truly a cultural treasure, living legend, and she's thicker than
and married. So calm yourself. Yeah. What other comments do we have real quick before we get out of here?
That was, I think I played them all. Bucky showing up and not helping was ridiculous. I understand having Sam fight without help, but it makes no sense. Who's running for office?
Bucky's running for Congress. So, yeah.
Some people agree. I keep saying I'm going to watch. You got to watch Paradise, man. Paradise is fantastic. And just, look, I'm going to say there's maybe a couple episodes that might be kind of slow burn episodes, but
it gets progressively better.
It gets progressive. That's perfect. It gets progressively better the more you watch it.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very good show.
We did not give away the plot. I promise you, we did not give away.
We didn't. We said we Secret Service agent and a president. That's it.
Yeah. All right, so that's it.
Yep. Guys, as always, thank you for joining us on your Friday when you could be doing anything else besides watching two old guys argue with each other and talk about comic books. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. That way you can join us here pretty much every Friday, 9:30 Eastern, for Wakanda Whiskey and Blurredom. But Black Comic Lords as a group puts out stuff almost daily. So there's a lot of Black comic content that is created every day pretty much. So make sure, again, like, subscribe, follow. As always, Thank you guys, and we will see you next time.
And just to give you guys the heads up, we have this coming up. The Bitterroot crew of Chuck Brown, David Walker, Sanford Green will be on Sunday at 7 p.m. on this channel to talk about the continuation of Bitterroot, The Next Movement, the new series. The Ash Can for that series came out last week. So if you didn't see it, go to your LCS, ask. Sometimes you have to literally ask for it because they have very limited copies and they keep it behind the desk. It's supposed to be free. You're supposed to have gotten it. It's supposed to be a free promotional thing for this series, and many stores have sold it. Like stores down here were selling it anywhere between $8 and $12 each issue. And on eBay, it's going for even more. So this is a fantastic series. If you've never read Bitterroot, you need to. This takes place several years in a few decades after the original series. And it's got to have some of a pulpish, futuristic vibe to it. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him about the series and what we can expect.
Let me just interject this real quick. Paul put me onto the Bitterroot storyline. I have every issue with the exception of one that I'm still trying to find. It's basically about a group of individuals, a family, the Sangri family, who are basically monster hunters, for lack of a better phrase. It's set pretty much in the 1920s in Harlem, and they have the ability to see evil spirits and vanquish them. One of the things that was important or significant about this book to me personally is that I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma. In this book, they mention Tulsa. You know, they're in New York mainly. They're in Georgia, and they're also in Tulsa. And I found that pretty significant because around the time that this book came out, you had the television series of Lovecraft Country. And in Lovecraft Country, they also, especially the last 2 episodes, were in Tulsa. And my actual specific high school where I graduated from was mentioned in Lovecraft Country. So for those who don't know, the Tulsa race riots happened in 1921. It's a whole big thing. Look it up. But all of this is culturally significant because it has brought this to the modern public eye. So I really enjoyed that book. I love the art. It's a very good book. So, and a couple of years ago, I fan cast the Sangri family. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. So that's it.
That's it. Any other parting words?
That's it.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. Again, if you haven't liked this video, please like this video. Please share it on your social media. Even after the video ends, please share it so that other people can watch it, share it, experience it, like it, and subscribe to our channel. We'll catch you next time. Black Comic Lords, we got you.
That's it.